Chapter 69. After a click, a blank forum appeared in front of Yan Xiaoling's eyes, except for the words, Lu Cheng, in the upper left corner, Eternal Nightfall, for the intern moderator, 1, for the number of followers, and so on. As the founder of the forum, her ID became an intern moderator. She would become an official moderator in a week if there were no major problems. Lu Cheng's first home on the internet. I'm going to start decorating it, Yan Xiaoling cheered in a low voice. She first used the picture of Lu Cheng downloaded from the official website as the background image of the forum name. Then she posted several posts in one go. Reporting post, I'm a fan of Lu Cheng. Competition video post. Life photo post. She sorted them one by one and was about to insert the videos, photos, and related reports downloaded from the official website into the corresponding post. However, on second thought, she frowned and felt wronged. This isn't right. It's impossible for Lu Cheng to not participate in other competitions in the future. It's too hard to find videos and photos in one post. After thinking about it, she reluctantly deleted the previous post and reposted it. She was quite serious and responsible. First Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament Video Post. First Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament Photo Post. First Phoenix Cup Warrior Sage Candidate Challenge Tournament Related News Post. Lu Cheng's daily life in January. She sent the content she had collected from the official website to the corresponding posts. After adding highlights to each post, she saved them in the cloud drive. Satisfied, she picked up the soy milk beside her and took a sip. Then she clicked into the reporting post to reply, I'm Lu Cheng's first fan, and finish all her work for the day. At this moment, Yan Xiaoling saw something that didn't belong to her appear on the second page of the reporting post. I'm Lu Cheng's first fan. Who? Yan Xiaoling felt like a thief had broken into her house. She opened her eyes wide and found that the owner was a person named Brahman. This is the forum I created. She replied bitterly. She hated that she had to drink the soy milk before continuing. Now someone else had taken the lead. Brahman did not reply. It was as if she had left quietly after snatching the first place. Yan Xiaoling was wondering if she should use her power to delete the post on the second floor and pretend that she was still the first fan. Her hand slipped and she returned to the forum's homepage. But this time, she was so angry that her lungs almost exploded, because there were a few more topic posts on the front page. That guy named Brahman was actually flooding the front page to question her. Why are you stealing my new idol's forum? The one called Eternal Nightfall, come out and take responsibility for your own actions. I should be the one to build it. I feel wronged, I feel sad, I feel bitter. Yan Xiaoling muttered a few words to calm herself down so that her temper wouldn't explode. Then, she replied in the form of a thread, first come, first served. My Lu Cheng is the winner of the Warrior Sage Challenge Tournament. Who's the new idol you're talking about? It's also Lu Cheng in the Warrior Sage Challenge Tournament. But I made him my new idol in the third round of the tournament, so it's definitely earlier than you. Brahman didn't back down and started arguing about who was Lu Cheng's #1 fan. Yan Xiaoling suddenly laughed. Her anger was all gone. She replied proudly, so what? Anyway, I built the forum. Why didn't you do it earlier? There was no new post for a whole minute. Yan Xiaoling thought that she had finally completed the training of her poisonous tongue and made the other party run away with one sentence. She was about to praise herself when she saw Brahman's post again, so what if you built the forum? Do you have this picture? Picture? What picture? Yan Xiaoling clicked in and saw a screenshot of a video with two guys laughing foolishly. One of them. Hey, isn't that Lu Cheng? Why do you have this picture of him? Yan Xiaoling asked with a shocked expression. Brahman smiled proudly, don't you know? This is the picture of Lu Cheng's dark history that only senior fans can find. Yan Xiaoling searched for the picture for a while but did not find the source. She was very curious and had to act like a lackey. She asked Brahman in a low voice. Well, you're indeed more senior than me. I won't delete your second post. Can you tell me where this picture came from? You want me to tell you just like that? I need to think about whether you should call me senior or master. Brahman put on airs. Yan Shaoling replied without hesitation, Dad. Brahman was stunned for a while and said, Where's your dignity? Where's your moral integrity? Dad, I don't have these two things. Just tell me. Yan Shaoling felt that she was a girl who was not pretentious at all. Brahman wiped the cold sweat. Okay, I'll send you the link. When you become the official moderator, let me be the deputy moderator. Roar, roar, roar. Yan Shaoling clicked to watch the video. After the beginning, she hurried back to share her feelings with Brahman. I didn't expect Lu Cheng to be so silly. Well, I feel that this silly Lu Cheng must be a very warm and considerate boy. I think so too. And he's very mysterious and cool. Brahman agreed. Well, Lu Cheng withdrew from the competition. I saw the news of his withdrawal and thought that there would be no news of him before next year's university martial arts competition. So I thought to set up a forum as a memorial. I didn't expect you to be faster than me, Yan Shaoling replied with an emoji of spinning in circles. When I was collecting information, I saw it on the official website. He fought so hard yesterday. He must be exhausted. The two girls started to talk about Lu Cheng. The more they talked, the more congenial they became. In the end, Yan Shaoling asked, Do you think Lu Cheng will find this forum? Secretly browsing here? I don't think so. Who would search for their own name except for those who just went online? By the time he thinks he may have a private forum, he should have become a famous fighter. Brahman tried to sound like an elder sister. She always felt that eternal nightfall was younger than her. Yan Shaoling closed her eyes and replied dreamily, By the time he discovers this place, the forum will have a lot of fans. I've also silently built many posts for him and collected a lot of information to make this place more and more like his home on the internet. Thinking about it, it's a very warm and touching thing. When he sees the time of our first post, he will be surprised to find that there are two people who have supported him silently for so many years, from the beginning until he became famous. Brahman also echoed in a romantic tone unique to girls. A small forum, a small girl, a small warmth. Outside the train station, Lu Cheng wiped his cold sweat and quickly left the taxi to the entrance of the security check. Uncle, I don't want to let you make no money. After passing through the security check, he found a relatively quiet corner. He pulled up his contact list and called his master. It's time to tell him the good news. Although his master's foresight was definitely better than his, and he could see his potential and predict that he might be able to pass the early elimination round and enter the group stage, whether it was defeating Zhou Yuaning or defeating Yi Yaoting with the help of the Jin Dan, they were both achievements that even he himself couldn't believe. Therefore, the top 8 was enough to surprise him. Lu Cheng couldn't help showing off a little when the phone rang, looking forward to his master's reaction. On the balcony bathed in the golden sunlight, Geyser narrowed his eyes and drank a little wine, enjoying the rare warmth and brilliance in winter. Buzz buzz buzz. The phone beside him vibrated. Without turning his head or looking, he said, You finally got the courage, you little brat. The phone on the table disappeared and suddenly appeared in his hand. Brat, you just called me today. Geyser chose to answer and said with a smile. Lu Cheng laughed, How dare I call you if I don't get a good ranking? That's right, no matter what, we have to wait until the rankings are settled before we fight. Didn't dare to call because I didn't get a good ranking. How many days did I wait before I got the courage? Geyser nodded slightly and said jokingly, Now you know how many martial artists there are in the world. Do you know that there are countless martial artists at the same level as you? Tell me the truth, which round are you in? After that, he took a sip of wine. Why does my master's words sound weird? Lu Cheng didn't have time to think about it and said proudly, 8th place. The contestant who gave up was ranked last among all the martial artists in the round. Puff. The wine in Geezer Sher's mouth flew out and turned into snowflakes. What did you say? 8th place. His hoarse voice raised a lot. Lu Qing took the phone away from his ear and felt his master's surprise. He answered with a smile, yeah, I tried my best and finally got into the top 8. But I also gave up because I overworked my body. I smiled proudly. This is not a surprise, this is a shock. Geezer Sher wanted to get to the bottom of it, but on second thought, he couldn't ask directly in order to maintain his master's image and dignity in front of Lu Qing. He had to ask someone else. He coughed and said, you did well. Keep it up. I know you have a lot of questions to ask, but I happen to have something to do. I'll get back to you when I'm done. Okay, master. Lu Qing was so proud that his voice became lighter. In a secluded office in the martial arts stadium of Yanling. The bodyguard Old Sheng looked at the chairman Lu Zunyu behind the desk and asked in confusion, you let Lu Qing go just like that? He was an upset in the last round and forfeited this round. No matter what the truth is, it has created a gambling problem. At the very least, we should do a comprehensive examination. Moreover, he has great potential. Why not take this opportunity to recruit him? Lu Zunyu crossed his fingers and smiled, do you know who got the invitation for him? Ah. Old Sheng was stunned. At this moment, Lu Zunyu's personal phone buzzed. He glanced at it and hurriedly picked it up, motioning Old Sheng to go out first. Hello, Senior Shi. Why did you call me personally? If you need anything, you can just ask me. Lu Zunyu's tone was quite respectful. Geezer Shi chuckled. My good-for-nothing disciple participated in your challenge tournament. As a master, I have to show some concern. I was busy before, but now that I have the time, tell me about his performance. Your disciple is really a dragon among men. His potential is limitless. Lu Zunyu praised first, he defeated a full-arm boxing master of amateur 4th pin in the first round, a strong opponent of amateur 1st pin in the 3rd round. We arranged a walkover for him in the 5th round. In the last round of the group, he defeated a fighter of professional 9th pin. In the last round, he defeated a fighter of professional 9th pin. In the last round, he must have used your explosive secret skill, so he overdrew his body and had to give up in the quarterfinals. Geezer Shi was silent for a while and said, why did you arrange a walkover for him? He is your disciple. We have to give him some face and take care of him. Lu Zunyu answered with a smile. Geezer Shi's tone became serious, you should ask your elders. I used to be impartial and righteous. How could I do this kind of thing? If you want to give me face, you shouldn't have arranged a walkover for him. You should have arranged a fighter of professional 9th pin for him. Flattery went too far. Lu Zunyu was not too afraid of Geezer Shi. After all, they were not from the same sect. He just wanted to make a good relationship with him. Therefore, the smooth and slick Geezer Shi immediately apologized. His sincerity moved people who heard it. Forget it. It's already over. You can send a copy of his competition video to my email. Geezer Shi's tone softened. Damn it, I've shot myself in the foot. How can I use my experience to teach that bastard a lesson? Chapter 70. While waiting for Geezer Shi's call, Lu Qing regained his appetite and found a fast food restaurant in the train station. He planned to show off in front of Kai Zongming, but Kai Zongming was not on QQ. He guessed that he was out with his girlfriend. He had to check the forum and found that in yesterday's discussion, the netizens were shocked by his victory over Yi Yaoding. Unparalleled Dragon King, who was known as the Human Database, said in a dreamy tone, I must find someone from Songqing University to ask about him. I don't believe that such a powerful person jumped out from a crack in a rock. Pig Riding Knight, an experienced and knowledgeable moderator, also said with emotion, if Lu Qing was mysterious and strong at the beginning and played every match with ease, then his sudden burst of strength to defeat Yi Yaoding is not too surprising. At his age, Peng Liyun is already an 8th pin fighter. But in the few matches we watched, except for the match with Tang Yu, he gave people the feeling that he barely won the match with his full strength. Sometimes he almost lost. How could he have the strength to defeat Yi Yaoding? This is not the Super Saiyan transformation. He must be on drugs. That's boring. Although the rules allow it, what people want to see is the limit of the human body. Outspoken, who always disliked Lu Cheng, said firmly. Wonton Seller said in a weak voice, maybe it's the secret method to stimulate the potential. All the big inheritances don't lack such things. That's possible. But is it worth it for the 10,000 yuan prize? The repercussions of stimulating the potential are very serious. How can 10,000 yuan make up for it? A plumber eating mushrooms said with a thoughtful expression. My idol is young and impetuous. Can't he lose control of his emotions and choose to stimulate the potential? Brahman jumped out to defend Lu Cheng. Unparalleled Dragon King seemed to have recovered. That makes sense. It should be Yi Yaoding's crushing defeat that irritated Lu Cheng and made him use the forbidden move regardless of the consequences. Sigh, he was only one step away from becoming a real professional ninth pin fighter. Now, it's hard to say. Let's see if he can make up for it. Why bother? Then he will definitely withdraw from the competition tomorrow. Beautiful World said in a very happy tone. We can ask Little Fist to inform Master Road. Yi Yaoding has been defeated. It's not shameful for him to lose to Lu Cheng. It's better for him to come back quickly. Road to the arena quietly appeared. Actually, I've been lurking in the shadows. Damn it, I was scared to death by Lu Cheng defeating Yi Yaoding. I thought I was hallucinating after drinking with Little Fist all night. Ha, Master Road, with Yi Yaoding in front of you, no one will care that you lost to Lu Cheng. Welcome back. One by one, the forum members made similar gestures. Since there were no more forum members participating in the competition, not many people were paying attention to this matter. Today, when the officials announced that Lu Cheng had to withdraw from the competition due to the discomfort caused by the use of the secret method, the remaining few people felt sorry for him, gloated over his misfortune, and believed that Lu Cheng could create another miracle and recover quickly. However, none of this could save the live broadcast post from its fate. It soon fell into silence and sank into the depths of the forum. After thinking for a while, Lu Cheng copied the address of the post and saved it. This could be considered as another testimony to his first martial arts tournament. The top 8 out of the 8 or 900 people were truly 1 in 100. In the martial arts stadium of Yanling City, Yi Yaoding sat beside Jiang Lan, watching the fierce battle between Li Xiaoyuan and Wang Yi. Her face was still pale, but without the palpitating blue color. Are you okay? Jiang Lan drank a nutrient drink and asked. She had just entered the top 4. Yi Yaoding bared her teeth. My body is still a little weak, but I'm fine. I've thought it through. The world is big, and there are all kinds of strange things. There will always be all kinds of enemies. Who knows when an enemy will explode? Speaking of this, she paused, took a breath and said, but, I'm still a little unreconciled. Sigh, after all, it's hard to be reconciled. He looked so easy to defeat. How did he suddenly become a horrible monster? One day, I'll get my face back. Jiang Lan thought for a while and said seriously, then you have to work harder. It only took Lu Cheng a few days to go from being a greenhorn at the beginning of the competition to being a mature and astute fighter. Plus, with his talent, as long as there aren't too many sequelae from yesterday's mutation, it shouldn't be a problem for him to reach the professional 9th pin at the end of the year. After seeing the frost on Yi Yaoding's arm, she was sure that Lu Cheng didn't use the secret method to stimulate his potential. Instead, his body had mutated, and it was very likely that he had awakened his supernatural ability. Phew. Yi Yaoding exhaled. In fact, I could have avoided it yesterday. After I suppressed him, if I didn't consider anything else, I would have directly used the flood stance. With the maximum eruption, I could have finished the battle in a few moves. There was no time for him to mutate. Sigh, I'm still too fond of showing off. You're 19 years old now, but you're still childish. Jiang Lan laughed and scolded her. Yi Yaoting turned her head and looked at Jiang Lan. Her eyes were full of excitement. Sister Lan, didn't you ask me to redouble my efforts? I want to form a team and start from the preliminaries. Let's see how far we can go. This way, we can maximize the actual combat experience and digest the cultivation methods. In the future, we may even become the biggest martial arts organization in Yanling. Do you want to join? The professional martial arts circle was divided into 4 levels. The top level was composed of 12 big forces, including Shangqing Sect, Daxing Temple, and Longhu Club. Every year, the last one would be relegated to the next level, which indicated that they were in a weak state and had to share some of the benefits. The second stage was called the advancement competition. Similarly, there were 12 forces who could be considered as vassals of a region. This level of competition had the participation of the upper 3 ranks, and the main focus was danqi. Every year, the first place would enter the highest stage. If they could maintain their position for a year without being sent back, it meant that they were strong enough to share some benefits. Similarly, the last 2 places would drop to the third stage. The third level was called the preliminary competition. There were 12 forces in the North and South Division, and the last 2 would be relegated to the 4th level. The 4th level was called the preliminary competition. Before the competition schedule was decided every year, all you had to do was organize a team and sign up. The division would be based on the number of participants. It was the beginner circle of professional martial arts. If Yi Yaoting and Jiang Lan joined, they could really go far in the preliminary competition. In that case, they would not only get a share of the income, but also a unique skill reward provided by the state. There were similar things in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th levels, so that they could really grow step by step and balance the old forces. Participate in the preliminary competition. Jiang Lan was stunned at first, but then a smile appeared on her face. Sounds interesting. I'll try it for a year. Yi Yaoting shook her fist and said happily, with you and our team, we can really grow stronger step by step. Maybe we can surpass my dad's martial arts club in the future. What should we call it? Well, I'll find a few more female fighters to join. We'll call it the Pretty Girls Squad. I'd better not join. Jiang Lan looked at her with disdain. Ha, just kidding, just kidding. Yi Yaoting laughed dryly. When the train was about to check in, Lu Qing finally got a call from Geyser. I've watched your competition video. Not bad. You've mastered 24 blizzard strikes. You've also turned your talent in meditation, yin-yang stance, and condensation stance into listening skill and mercurial balance. You've achieved the main purpose of letting you join the challenge competition. Geyser said in a hoarse voice. God pity me. This is not the line I prepared at the beginning. Lu Cheng was proud and happy. He replied with a smile, Master, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Otherwise, I don't know when I could reach this level. Not giving you the opportunity. Geyser took a deep breath and said, Your mastery of 24 blizzard strikes is good, but it also reveals many problems. Your foundation is too weak and your fighting style is too monotonous. After all, 24 blizzard strikes is not an all-encompassing and profound martial art. It has its own limitations and is not enough to deal with all situations. When you come back from school, I'll teach you a new fighting style. During this time, you should practice the big and small hand wrap to enrich your close combat options. I'll compile the videos and materials and send them to your email. I don't ask for profound knowledge, but I hope you can use it once or twice at critical moments. It's good enough to complement your listening skill. A new martial art at the beginning of school. Lu Cheng was very happy. He hurriedly said, Okay. Geyser was quite depressed. He went straight to the point. When you fought Yi Yaoting, others couldn't see it, but I saw it clearly. There was ice force. Did you awaken a supernatural ability related to frost? Well, although you may not believe it, I've awakened a supernatural ability related to fire. Lu Qing answered honestly. You can't blame me. I also don't think it's a big deal. There was silence on the other side of the phone. He couldn't hear Geysershi's breathing at all. After almost a minute, Geysershi coughed twice and said tiredly, then we'll talk about it when you come back from school. Ice Force? Awakening a supernatural ability related to fire? Are you kidding me? After hanging up the phone, Lu Qing was in a good mood. His weak body and half-blocked nose seemed to have relieved a lot of his flu symptoms. He followed the line, passed the ticket gate, boarded the train and found his seat. He was thinking about his supernatural ability. The supernatural ability of fire was purely a change caused by the backlash. When he squeezed the Jindan and used Ice Force, it caused an imbalance between the ice and fire in the Jindan and leaked some of the fire force. After a while, the remaining fire force merged with the cells and slightly changed his body. The ice force turned into a real, mega avalanche and hurt the opponent. Most of the ice force evaporated in the room temperature and didn't affect Yi Yaoting much. Now, the Jindan was still there and could still replenish his strength. After putting down his luggage, he sat down and looked at the passengers outside who were constantly looking for a carriage. Suddenly, he had a real feeling that he was going home. When he left Songqing University and stayed in the hotel in Yanling, he had been so focused on Yanzhika and the challenge tournament that he didn't have the urge to go home. But at this moment, sitting on the train on the way back, surrounded by other travelers like him, this kind of emotion suddenly burst out. Yes, after all, he was still an 18-year-old young man who had been away from his parents for half a year. Yes, he was born and raised in Shushan and had spent 18 years there. Most of his relatives and friends and most of his memories and experiences were there. How could he not miss home? How could he not miss home? What a wanderer in a foreign land yearned for was the warmth of home. He took out his phone, logged on QQ and sent a message to Yan Zhika who should still be practicing martial arts. Going home. Chapter 71. The sky was gloomy and the wind was chilly. Filled with excitement and joy, Lu Qing couldn't help but shiver as soon as he walked out of the train station. Unlike the strong wind, low temperature and dry cold in Yanling, the cold in Shushan was the kind that chilled him to the bone. It was a kind of inescapable cold that couldn't be resisted by the so-called airtight clothes. Besides, he was in a weak and sick state. Luckily I was smart enough to put on a coat before I got off the bus. Lu Qing praised and took out his phone. He took a picture of the familiar sky of Shushan and the landmark building in the distance, and sent it to Yanzhika with a smirk. Does it look familiar? Yanzhika replied with a dazed emoji. I suddenly miss home, just think of me as your substitute to go home and experience Shushan for you. Lu Qing replied with a proud smile. Bah, what are you talking about? Substitute Qing, are you prettier than me? Yanzhika replied with a, you know nothing about strength, emoji. While chatting, Lu Qing carried his luggage and declined a bunch of offers to take a taxi. He arrived at the bus stop and waited for the bus that would pass by his house on Route 82. Although he had 10,000 yuan in his backpack and a few hundred in his wallet, he had to be thrifty. Originally, he only had 5,000 yuan as a reward, so he planned to use the rest of it as a dating fund. But now that he had the 10,000 yuan reward for the top 8, he had a little idea. He planned to buy something for his parents during the new year. It would be the first real gift to surprise them. Bus 82 was crowded. Lu Qing controlled his center of gravity well with his yin-yang stance. He sat down and looked around to see if he could meet one or two classmates. Unfortunately, Shushan was a prefecture-level city. The population of the main city alone was in the hundreds of thousands. The number of classmates he knew, starting from kindergarten, was no more than 300. Compared to the former, Shushan was like a drop in the ocean. How could it be so easy to meet them? Unless he specifically went to certain places where certain people were bound to appear. The bus swayed and stopped. It drove to the non-commercial area of the old city. The surrounding buildings began to become shorter and less colorful. Lu Cheng got off at a stop sign at the entrance of a community. This was the place where he had lived for almost 10 years. Many of the outer walls of the buildings had been modeled, leaving traces of the merciless passage of time. This was the last glory of the company that his father first worked for. When it went bankrupt, he squeezed out the last of his family's savings and borrowed a lot of debt to buy the property rights. Most of the people living in the neighborhood were his father's former colleagues or co-workers. They had a good relationship with each other. Along the way, Lu Cheng frequently greeted them. This uncle had watched him grow up, and this auntie had helped him change his diapers. Before he stepped into the house, he could already feel the smell of home. Of course, this kind of neighborhood atmosphere was also a little bad. The 7 aunts and 8 aunts loved to gather together when they had nothing to do. If something happened to one family, the news would spread throughout the neighborhood. When he was about to reach building number 8, Lu Cheng saw a young man walking out from the entrance of the unit. He smiled and greeted him, Brother Su. This young man was called Wang Su. He was Lu Cheng's kindergarten, elementary school, and junior high school classmate. In the normal sense, they were childhood friends. Their fathers used to work in the same technical department. They liked to play chess and brag together. Lu Cheng had a good relationship with him. However, during the years when the company was about to go bankrupt, everyone was in a panic. Everyone had a hard time. In a family, one had to leave home to work, while the other stayed at home to take care of the child. Conflicts broke out from time to time. This atmosphere also affected the children. Some began to lose interest in learning and wanted to earn money as soon as possible. Some followed the young workers in the factory and now the hooligans in the underworld. Gradually, they formed some gangs. Wang Su was tall and sturdy. He was a martial artist since childhood. Influenced by this atmosphere, he slowly went astray. In junior high school, he tried to please the PE teacher in order to learn martial arts. At the same time, he followed the hooligans to collect protection fees and participate in school gang fights. At that time, he was relatively simple. He would show off to Lu Cheng who he had beaten today and who he was going to fight tomorrow. With Lu Cheng's insight, he found that Wang Su was indeed talented. At the age of 14 or 15, he was already an amateur 9th pin fighter. Because of this childhood friend, Lu Cheng was able to concentrate on his studies in junior high school, where the overall learning atmosphere was very bad. He was not disturbed by the outside world and bullied by the hooligans. He was admitted to Shushan No. 1 middle school and completely got rid of this environment. From then on, he and Wang Su became strangers. He no longer knew anything about Wang Su. He only knew that Wang Su did not study in high school from time to time. He found that Wang Su seemed to be doing better and better, but there were more shallow scars on his face. The scar on Wang Su's left cheek was still faintly visible. He had neat short hair, wore an expensive long black leather coat, and wore a thick long gold chain that gave him the temperament of a nouveau riche. His features were no longer tender, and he no longer had the youthful look of an 18 or 19-year-old youth. Hey, the college student is back. He was quite happy to see Lu Cheng. He took out a pack of cigarettes with English letters written on it from his pocket. Come, have a smoke. Good stuff. It was in such an atmosphere that I learned to smoke and drink. Lu Cheng thought and waved his hand. I quit smoking now. Wang Su's face showed a trace of unhappiness, and his attitude became more indifferent. He lit a cigarette for himself and said, It's different to study in college. To be honest, Lu Cheng used to be a good friend with him, but he was still a little afraid of him. But now, after the experience in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, he was no longer afraid of Wang Su. He looked straight into Wang Su's eyes and smiled gently. I've quit smoking and drinking, but I haven't quit eating skewers and hot pot. Let's go for supper when you're free. Seeing that Lu Cheng didn't deliberately alienate him but was instead calm and generous, Wang Su's displeasure dissipated. Returning to his usual self, he chuckled and said, "Sure, let's go have skewers when I'm free." "Cheng, why don't you quit smoking and drinking? What's the point of living then?" Lu Cheng replied with a smile, "I joined the martial arts club in college to strengthen my body. You know, practicing martial arts requires abstaining from smoking and drinking." Hearing this, Wang Su laughed loudly. "You want to practice martial arts? When I'm free, I'll teach you a few moves. I guarantee that your martial arts will improve greatly during the winter break. I don't believe you can make me a professional ninth pin fighter. Maybe you can't even beat me." Lu Qin complained silently. He pointed upstairs and said, "I'm going home to see my parents first. Talk to you later." "Okay, I'll bring a bottle of wine to your house. I haven't played chess with Uncle Lu for a long time." Wang Su and Lu Qing lived in the same building in the same unit, but one was on the second floor and the other was on the fifth. After Wang Su graduated from junior high school, it was normal for him to be away from home for a week. Lu Qing said, "You haven't forgotten your chess skills?" "I've abandoned it long ago." Both of their fathers loved to play chess. Both of them were influenced since young and had inherited the skills from their families. Wang Su smiled first and then sighed. "You know my dad. He's as stubborn as a donkey. He can't stand me being in the underworld. But once you're in the underworld, you can't help yourself. Sigh, only when we're playing chess does he give me some face and say a few words." He was speaking like an old man. After the small talk, Lu Qin walked through the door of the unit and walked up the familiar stairs to his house on the fifth floor. This community was built 10 years ago, before elevators and apartments were popular in Shushan. Therefore, the highest building here was only 6 floors. Seeing the gray-blue security door, Lu Qing smiled and took out the key. It was 5:00. His mom must be at home preparing dinner. He didn't tell his mom in advance that he was going home today because he wanted to give them a surprise. Dang 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 dang. Lu Qing turned the key and opened the door with the background music in his heart. He shouted, "Mom, I'm home." His voice echoed and the room was silent. Lu Qing was stunned. He put on his slippers and walked to the kitchen. There was no trace of cooking. Damn, where is she? Lu Qing took out his phone and dialed his mom's number. Where's the surprise? The phone was connected. Lu Cheng's mom's familiar voice came through. "Cheng, when are you coming home? The other kids are all on vacation." "Mom, I'm at home now." "Where are you?" Lu Cheng asked in a daze. "Why didn't you say you were coming home?" Lu Cheng's mom raised her voice. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched. "I wanted to give you a surprise." "Surprise your ass. It's more like a shock. One of my relatives is getting married. Your dad and I are at Ningxue for the wedding. We won't be back tonight. You can handle it yourself." Lu Cheng's mom scolded him. Ningxue was a county under Shushan. "Is this the kind of treatment I get when I come home from so far away?" Lu Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lu Cheng's mom laughed. "You didn't tell me in advance. If you didn't, I would have let your dad come by himself. Are you surprised?" "Yes." Lu Cheng was speechless. After hanging up the phone, he looked around at the deserted surroundings. He could only sigh. As expected of his biological son, he still had to find his own food. Back in his room full of posters of Dragon King and other martial artists, Lu Qing put down his luggage and took out his phone. He sent a message to Yenjika. "No one is here to receive me. No food. Everyone is at the wedding." Yenjika quickly replied with a photo. It was a picture of a round table with a turntable. There were dozens of dishes on it. "My dinner tonight is for you to satisfy your cravings. You're welcome. Look at my eyes." Lu Qing sent a sad emoji. The left-behind child was abandoned. While chatting with Yenjika, he began to think about dinner. He planned to gather his friends for dinner. After all, he had money. He first left a message to Kai Zongming. Talker, I have a secret for you. I got the secret of the top 8 in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. Now I can crush your secret. Then he looked for Jiang Fei on QQ. Fatty Jiang, are you free? I'm going back to Shushan. Let's have dinner together. If Fatty Jiang was not free, he would look for him one by one. Oh, you're finally back. I thought you were having a good time. Where are you going? Jiang Fei didn't hesitate. This is called friendship. Lu Qing thought for a while. Old Lu barbecue. He could send a photo to Yan Zhika and let her eat it. Chapter 72. Okay, wait for me. I'll pick you up. Jiang Fei replied with a big laugh. Lu Cheng was stunned. Pick me up. Hey, you'll know later. You can ask old Cheng if he wants to come with you. Fatty Jiang mentioned Ching Chili, another best friend. Lu Cheng replied with a scornful emoji. I'll ask even if you don't tell me. I'll beat him up. After that, he clicked on Ching Chili's QQ, whose nickname was, I love advanced mathematics. Old Cheng, are you there? I'm back. After waiting for a few minutes, Lu Cheng got no response, so he simply dialed Ching Chili's mobile number. Ching Chili's mobile number was set up in another place. Lu Cheng didn't know if he had changed his number at home. After the divine melody ringtone, a familiar but hoarse voice came from the other end of the phone. Cheng. Old Cheng, what's wrong? You don't sound well. Lu Cheng asked with concern. Ching Chili laughed. It's nothing serious. My relatives came to my house today. They said I'm an adult in college and can drink. They forced me to drink a few glasses and made me feel dizzy. I slept the whole afternoon. If it wasn't for your call, I wouldn't know when I would wake up. Hey, Cheng, your voice doesn't sound right. It's a bit nasal. You caught a cold? Yeah, but I'll get better soon. I'm going back to Shushan. I'm going to ask Fatty Jiang out for barbecue. Are you free? Lu Cheng didn't need to be polite in front of Ching Chili. He asked directly. Ching Chili sighed. I can't. It's a family gathering. I'm so busy during the spring festival. I'll find you tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Okay, we'll talk about it then. Lu Cheng hung up the phone and replied to Yan Zhika's message. He quickly packed his luggage, put the unwashed clothes in 2 basins, and put his laptop on the desk in his room. At this time, the sky was gloomy and there were signs of night falling before 6 o'clock. The lights in the room created a warm and bright environment. Lu Cheng looked around and felt a little strange to this place where he had slept for almost 10 years. On his left was a bed that was 1.5 meters wide and had been replaced with a brand new 4-piece set. His mother had probably done this in advance, saving him a lot of time. On his right were a bookcase and a wardrobe. The former was filled with all kinds of martial arts magazines, novels, and comics, as well as the 12 sections of Shu Mountain and Tai Chi pole exercise that he had bought when he was young and naive. He had fantasized about becoming a master by himself and shocking the entire school. Unfortunately, these things were not real, but there was no one to guide him and he did not have the time to persevere. In the end, it was useless. Between the bed and the bookcase was a desk with a lamp, a wall calendar, a pen holder, a piggy bank, and so on. The drawers on both sides were locked with photos of Yan Zhika from elementary school, middle school, and high school. He had once regretted that there were too many classes in high school and that there was no group photo of Yan Zhika. But now, it didn't matter anymore. Just as he finished cleaning up and dispelled the slight unfamiliarity, Jiang Fei sent a message on QQ, Cheng, come down. I'm at the entrance of your neighborhood. Okay. Lu Cheng took his wallet and thought for a while. Then he took out 7 or 8 notes from the 10,000 yuan hidden in the depths of the drawer. He rushed out of the door excitedly and came to the entrance of the neighborhood. He looked left and right, looking for Fatty Jiang. But there was no familiar guy in the cold wind whistling on the road. Beep! Beep! A car horn suddenly sounded. Lu Qing subconsciously looked over and saw a white Ford car parked at the entrance of the neighborhood rolling down the window. Cheng! Jiang Fei's slightly proud deep voice came from the car. Lu Qing let out a, "Hey," and walked over. He opened the door of the passenger seat and said, "Not bad. You can drive now." Only then did he recognize that it was Fatty Jiang's father's car. It wasn't expensive, but it wasn't cheap either. It was just like his family's financial situation. Jiang Fei was wearing a dark blue down jacket with his chest open, revealing the black turtleneck sweater inside. His round face was fatter than when they last met at the end of August. He had 3 chins and a bulging belly, as if he had been pregnant for 5 or 6 months. He smiled and said, "Although I didn't find a girlfriend this semester, I got my driver's license. Our school can use it as credit for an elective course. TSK, you can't judge a book by its cover. I thought you would stay in the dormitory and play games for a semester." Lu Qing sat down, closed the door and fastened the seat belt. Compared to the cold outside, the inside was like heaven. Jiang Fei put down the handbrake and pushed the gear lever. He said with a smile, "Driving is a basic skill now. It takes too much time to take the test after college. You should take it when you have time." "If I have time." Lu Qing thought of his daily training. He took out his phone and sent a sneering emoji to Yenjika. "I'm going out. Going to Old Lu barbecue with Fatty Jiang from our class." Yenjika replied with, "I'll kill you with my eyes. You're getting bolder and bolder. How dare you provoke me? Didn't you say I won't forget your kindness?" "I'm wrong, Coach Yen. See me admit my mistake." Lu Qing replied with a big smile. Jiang Fei glanced at him and looked ahead. He smiled while driving. "Qing, who are you chatting with? Why are you smiling so obscenely? Your girlfriend? You didn't mention it before." "I'm almost there. I'm still working on it." Lu Qing didn't hide it. Jiang Fei said, "Not bad. I didn't expect you to take the initiative to pursue someone. You're really a man on the outside. Maybe you're the first one to find a girlfriend." "Is that girl a classmate of Songqing University?" "Yes." Lu Qing nodded. "Not only a classmate of Songqing University, but also a classmate of high school. Songqing University is really balanced between men and women, unlike us. By the way, Qing, do you know Yenjika got into Songqing University?" Jiang Fei suddenly asked. Lu Qing was stunned. "Yes, I've seen her." Not only had he seen her, but he saw her every day. Jiang Fei looked ahead and turned the steering wheel. "I despise you. You've seen her, but you didn't mention it to me." He didn't wait for Lu Qing to answer. He suddenly sighed. "Do you remember the first year of high school when the military training ended? A lot of boys were saying that there was a super beauty in class 3, even prettier than a star. We took a detour to the toilet of class 3 just to take a look. After that, we often talked about it in private. Every time we did martial arts exercises, we would line up near class 3 and pretend to pass by class 3's door from time to time. At that time, I didn't think about pursuing her. I always thought it was a good thing to look at her. Ah, this is probably my best memory of girls in high school. Youth." Lu Qing also felt sentimental when he heard that. It was a pure and innocent love. At that time, a lot of people pretended to pass by and often bumped into guys they knew. The boys of class 3 were brazenly making fun of them. He recalled. At the same time, he kept typing and sent a message to Yenjika. "I'm reminiscing about high school with Fatty Jiang. Do you remember that people often passed by and peeped at you in the first semester of high school?" Jiang Fei sighed and shook his head. "Now that I think about it, it's quite silly. I don't know if Yenjika found out at that time. What did she think of us? Beep. Yenjika replied with a messy emoji. I remember. I felt like a panda in a zoo, being visited one by one. I had to lie on my stomach and pretend to sleep. Hey, did you also pass by? I think she can't remember passers-by like us. Lu Qing shattered Fatty Zhang's fantasy with a description that matched the facts. He then replied to Yenjika with a smile. Yes, I pretended to pass by several times. Unfortunately, I was just a passerby at that time. You probably don't remember. This could be considered as another ambiguous sentence. Yenjika sent a smirk and didn't say more. At this time, they had arrived at the Old Lu barbecue, which was not too far away. Jiang Fei stopped the car a little awkwardly. After a while, he was sweating profusely and finally finished. He turned off the engine and locked the car. Yeah, why would she remember passers-by like us in Songbingi? Not only is she prettier than the stars, but she's also super good at studying. I heard that she has a good personality too. If all her suitors spit at us, they might drown us in their saliva. But a person like her must have high standards. There hasn't been any rumors about her. She should be the type who focuses on her studies. Hey, why do you think she applied for Songqing University? Wouldn't it be better to go to Beijing or Huahai? Lu Qing thought seriously and answered, maybe it's because of family reasons. Ha, don't make wild guesses. It's definitely not reliable. Wait for me to ask Du Liu. Song Li and Yenjika are pretty close. Jiang Fei laughed. Nowadays, no one believes the truth. Lu Qing looked at the sky speechlessly and felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. While talking, they walked into the Old Lu barbecue. The shop had just opened and only served the night market. 20 skewers of 5 flour, 20 skewers of beef, 20 skewers of pork ribs, 20 skewers of palm treasures, 20 skewers of mutton, 20 skewers of chicken tips, 10 skewers of chicken wings, 10 skewers of kidney, 10 skewers of potatoes, 10 skewers of green beans, 1 serving of chives, 1 grilled fish, 4 grilled eggplants. Lu Qing ordered without looking at the menu. Shoshan belonged to the inland. Barbecue shops usually didn't serve seafood. Jiang Fei was shocked. So much? Don't be so narrow-minded. When they came here last time, the two of them had only ordered 1/3 of this amount. Even if the quantity of each skewer in Shoshan was obviously different from that in the north, it was still terrifying to order so much. Maybe we'll order more later. I'm practicing martial arts and I have a big appetite now. Lu Qing said with a smile. Jiang Fei was skeptical. Under the light of the shop, he looked Lu Qing up and down. Practicing martial arts? Anyway, Qing, you seem to have matured a little. This is called temperament. Lu Qing answered in a joking tone. What do you want to drink? Beer, of course. Let's drink a few glasses and find someone to drive us later. Jiang Fei turned to the waitress beside him, thinking about how much to order. Lu Qing waved his hand and smiled. I quit drinking for the sake of practicing martial arts. Besides, I have a cold now. Just give me a bottle of mineral water. He could foresee that he would have to say these words again and again. But since he had chosen the path of martial arts, he had to stick to it. He was not lazy and was not afraid of social interaction. Jiang Fei looked at him doubtfully. Really? Lu Qing nodded steadily. Why would I lie to you? He expressed his firm will in his tone. Well then, no one is drinking with me and I have to drive. Forget it, I want herbal tea. Jiang Fei rubbed his hands and didn't force him. By the way, Qing, since you're practicing martial arts, do you know any local martial arts club or gym? No, why? Lu Qing asked in confusion. Jiang Fei showed a bitter smile. I'm King fat again. I want to lose weight so that I won't get rounder after the new year. At least I need to stabilize my weight. But it's almost New Year, so martial arts clubs and gyms are closed. I can't find any. Lu Qing smiled. This kind of thing depends on self-awareness and persistence. Well, if you really want to lose weight, follow me to exercise every morning. I'm practicing martial arts every day. Jiang Fei took a breath. Cheng, I didn't expect you to be so hardworking in martial arts. Has this old man gone crazy from talking? The waitress came back with herbal tea and mineral water. She opened them and filled their glasses. Do you know how to quote a poem? Lu Qing glanced at him. Are you going to exercise or not? Jiang Fei thought for a while. Okay, let's try. What time is it in the morning? He picked up the glass and drank the herbal tea. Later. I'll run to your house and call you. It's 6:10 a.m. Lu Qing thought for a while and answered. Puff. Jiang Fei spat out the herbal tea in his mouth. Lu Qing quickly raised his arm to block it, but was almost sprayed all over his face. 6:10 a.m. 6:10 a.m. in the middle of winter. Jiang Fei wiped his mouth. Lu Qing looked at him with disdain. This is the time to test your will to lose weight. If you agree but don't get up, I'll smash your window. Hee, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. My slingshot is thirsty. Let's try it for 2 days first. Jiang Fei hesitated and agreed. Chapter 73. It was a cold winter night. The alley where Old Lu Barbecue was located was dilapidated and deserted, but the customers came one after another, which showed its fame. Decadent sounds came faintly from afar. It was brightly lit. It was another world. It was a famous bar street in Xiucheng. Only 3 alleys away, it was a completely different world from here. When he was in his second year of high school, Lu Chen was sitting in front of a playboy who gave up the college entrance examination. From time to time, he would mention the bar street in front of him, saying that he was very familiar with it. Therefore, Lu Chen had been famous for a long time. But every time he came here, he would just eat barbecue and never take a detour. He always felt that the security around the bars and dance halls must be bad, so it was better to stay away from them. Listening to the singing in the air and smelling the fragrance of the barbecue, Lu Chen was suddenly hungry. The more he drank mineral water, the hungrier he became. Hey, Fatty Jiang, has the class reunion been decided? He tried to focus on the conversation. Jiang Fei gulped down a mouthful of herbal tea and smacked his lips. It's too sweet. It's different from the one in Guangnan. The reunion is 3 days from now. We'll climb Shoshan and walk to the conference villa of Spring Scenery Field. Conference villa of Spring Scenery Field? Why do you make it so grand? Lu Chen was shocked. Jiang Fei laughed. You don't understand, do you? It's almost Chinese New Year, so there are no meetings there. The price is very low, not much more expensive than going to a farmhouse. 200 yuan per person is enough. You can play table tennis, badminton, tennis, basketball, free KTV, mahjong room, and chess room. If you don't want to play these, you can climb the mountain, exercise, and breathe the fresh air. Everyone is happy. You can do whatever you want. Hee, there's a hot spring hotel nearby. If you want to go there, just spend some money. For me, these are not attractive. It's better to sit in a group and chat, reminisce the embarrassing moments and share the experience of college. Lu Qing picked up the tissue next to him and blew his nose. Bah! You're just pretending. I remember you like to sing karaoke. Someone was a microphone hog several times during the summer vacation after the college entrance examination. Jiang Fei exposed Lu Cheng's lie without mercy. Lu Qing laughed dryly and changed the topic. How many people are coming this time? Only a few who are not in Shushan didn't come. The rest have all agreed. I wonder if those couples in the Taoist class have split up, and how many of the single dogs have found a partner. Jiang Fei said excitedly, completely not caring that he was a genuine single dog for 18 years. Lu Qing admired Fatty Jiang the most. He had a good personality, wasn't petty, could take a joke, and wasn't afraid of saying the wrong thing in front of him. Back when he was addicted to detective novels, he always wondered if Fatty Jiang was only open-minded on the surface and kept all his anger bottled up in his heart. Sooner or later, he would be completely twisted and turn into a cold-blooded killer. He had specifically asked Fatty Jiang about Fatty Jiang's mental journey and found that Fatty Jiang was simply forgetful. He would forget the matter that made him angry just a moment ago. His life was enviable. Lu Qing coughed a few times. Which teachers did you invite? Only Old Wu and teacher Xian. The others were either too busy or didn't dare to invite, such as Old Li, Jiang Fei said with a smile. Old Li was the math teacher that Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika had complained about. As the director of the academic affairs office, he was quite frightening to the students. Old Wu and teacher Xian had served as the head teacher of Lu Cheng's class respectively. One taught Chinese, the other taught chemistry. Old Wu is a martial arts fan. Every time he comes to the class to patrol, he always talks about martial arts with us. Lu Cheng was quite happy to meet the head teacher of the senior year. At this time, the waitress served the first batch of easy-to-barbecue meat skewers and sprinkled some chopped green onions on them. Lu Cheng held back his hunger and took a picture with his mobile phone. He didn't send it to Yan Zhika immediately. He planned to show it off when the highlight came. Done with the consecration? Fatty Jiang asked with a smile. Yes, let's eat. Lu Cheng didn't hesitate and reached for a skewer of streaky pork. The meat skewers of Old Lu's barbecue were marinated with secret seasonings in advance. The aroma entered the nose and was indescribably attractive. Lu Cheng ate a skewer in 2 or 3 bites. He felt that his mouth was full of all kinds of wonderful flavors, which made him miss the taste that made him hungry at midnight. He liked the skewers with some fatty meat so that they wouldn't be dry after being barbecued. The fat was forced out by the flame little by little, making sizzling sounds. The aroma was strong, but it wasn't too greasy. It melted in his mouth, and his mouth was full of the fragrance of oil. It was so delicious that he couldn't stop eating. After eating more than a dozen skewers, Lu Cheng's hunger was slightly relieved. He had time to chat with Jiang Fei. They chatted about the interesting things in their respective schools and gossips of their high school classmates. After the first batch was finished, the second batch, which was harder to barbecue, was served. There were chicken wings, chicken tips, pork ribs, and so on. The signature grilled eggplant was also placed in 2 iron plates. The grilled eggplant here was completely different from those in other places, including Songcheng and Yanling. After the grilled eggplant was roasted, there was a special process of stir-frying the ingredients. The secret seasonings and crispy peas were stir-fried with oil on high heat and poured over the grilled eggplant. The mixture penetrated the eggplant from the inside out and melted with the grilled eggplant juice. There was a little smell of fish and the taste of the eggplant itself. It was unforgettable and full of praise. In Lu Cheng's heart, eggplant was the emperor of the barbecue world. It was better than meat. Yan Zhika, who lived in Jiangnan, also couldn't forget it. As for those who liked to drink, they liked the crispy peas even more. They picked up one and chewed for a while, which was enough to go with the wine. Seeing that the highlight was coming, Lu Cheng picked up his phone again, adjusted the background color, took a picture that was very appetizing, and sent it to Yan Zhika together with the previous picture. I'm so satisfied. He deliberately showed off. Yan Zhika immediately replied with a throwing dog emoji. The puppy of friendship is already dead. The corners of his mouth curled up, and a smile unconsciously appeared on his face. He typed another reply. Jiang Fei picked up a piece of eggplant meat and stuffed it into his mouth. He clicked his tongue and said, Cheng, you're in love. You have to introduce us to her when you get her. Let's see what kind of beauty has you so infatuated with. Actually you know her and just sighed with emotion. Lu Qing silently ridiculed. He put down his phone, picked up the eggplant meat and dipped it in the gravy. Okay, if it works out. He put the chopsticks into his mouth and the taste that he always missed burst out. He was so moved that his chopsticks flew. Jiang Fei picked up the herbal tea and said with a smile, "Then I wish you success. When the time comes and I have a target, I will ask for your advice. By the way, sister-in-law, do you have any girlfriends or friends? Remember me as your brother." Sister-in-law, that's a good name. Lu Qing praised in his heart. He thought for a while and joked, "You should lose weight first." Jiang Fei rolled his eyes and asked with great interest, "How do you know each other? Is she in your university class?" No, we are both in Songqing University Martial Arts Club." Lu Qing told the truth, but not the whole truth. "The first time we met was when you took me to the 3rd class to see the beauties." He didn't want to tell Fatty Jiang and the others before he really got Yan Zhika. They were all high school classmates and knew each other. If the news spread and he failed miserably, it would be King embarrassing. Besides, he believed that Yan Zhika wouldn't like gossip. "Damn, so that's why you insist on practicing martial arts?" Jiang Fei suddenly realized, as if he had solved the question he didn't dare to ask before. You can't judge a book by its cover. Cheng, I didn't expect you to pay such a big price to not be a single dog. They talked and laughed, eating eggplant and chicken wings. In the end, the grilled fish was served. It was cooked in a similar way to the grilled eggplant, but for some reason, it was still not as good as the grilled eggplant in Lu Cheng's heart. After finishing the grilled fish, Lu Cheng added some more. Jiang Fei was stunned by Lu Cheng's appetite. He said with some fear, "Cheng, if I train with you, will I eat as much as you? How can I lose weight then? Do you think I'm fat?" Lu Cheng took out his wallet and asked for the bill. After this meal, he felt completely alive. His cold symptoms were alleviated and his body was full of strength again. Jiang Fei looked at him carefully and said, "No. Then it's settled. What's there to be afraid of?" Lu Cheng was full of confidence. Seeing the boss coming, Jiang Fei also took out his wallet. "Hey, Cheng, I'll do it. It's a welcome dinner for you. How can you pay for it?" Hey, I recently joined a martial arts competition and earned some extra money. You don't have to compete with me." Lu Cheng showed off a little. Jiang Fei looked at him in surprise. "Earned money from a martial arts competition? Cheng, how long have you been practicing martial arts?" "I get it. You must have bullied a primary school student. Get lost." Lu Cheng said concisely and paid for the barbecue. The total was less than 500 yuan. Although the weight of each skewer was not as good as other places, or even a little worse, it was quite cost-effective. Seeing that Lu Cheng was really rich, Jiang Fei did not rush to pay. He touched his belly and said, "Let's go for a walk nearby to digest. TSK, the food in Shushan is so cheap. In Guangnan, there are so many barbecue skewers and grilled fish. How can 400 yuan be enough?" Lu Cheng nodded and seriously asked the boss when the restaurant would open after the Spring Festival. Old Lu Barbecue would be on holiday the day after tomorrow. After receiving the news that the restaurant would open on the 8th day of the Spring Festival, he put his hand in his pocket with satisfaction. He had already ordered a small vacuum machine and an insulated lunch box, waiting for them to arrive after the Spring Festival. The feeling of being rich is really different. In the whistling cold wind, the two strolled in the alley and continued to chat about various things. They strolled on the road to digest. Subconsciously, they avoided the road to the bar street and walked in the opposite direction. After turning into an alley, they saw a back street in front of them. The street lights were broken, so it was dark. Only the lights of the surrounding houses seeped through the windows, faintly discernible. "Let's go back. Who knows what we will step on in the dark." Jiang Fei pulled up his down jacket. Lu Cheng was about to answer when he suddenly saw several figures in front of them. One was desperately running away, and the other three were chasing after him with gleaming machetes. In the cold and dark alley, there was a burst of messy footsteps. Damn, the mafia will cut people. Let's avoid them. Jiang Fei was so scared that he started to tremble. Lu Qing did not want to cause trouble, so he immediately pulled Jiang Fei back and leaned to the side. At this moment, the running man entered a section with light around him. Wang Su. It was Wang Su. The one being chased was Wang Su. Lu Cheng's senses were very sharp and his eyes were very sharp. He immediately recognized that the running man with knife wounds and bleeding was his childhood friend, Wang Su, whom he had met in the community before dinner. Chapter 74. In the dark, the back streets seemed to be condensed into a scene in a movie. Lu Cheng had been used to making quick decisions. After recognizing Wang Su, an idea flashed through his mind and he was ready to save him. If it was in the past, he would most likely not have dared to do so. Like Jiang Fei, he would be trembling with fear, not even daring to take a second look. At most, he would help to call the police, even if the person being chased was his childhood friend, someone who had once taken care of him. After all, he did not have the ability to do so. Not only would it be useless to interfere, but it would also hurt himself and implicate his family. But now, after the tempering of the Little Warrior Sage Challenge tournament, his martial arts and spirit had undergone a complete transformation. He was good at observation, decisive in his actions, and confident and steady in his bones. How could he not dare to help when he had the ability? Did he really want to watch Wang Su being hacked to death in front of him? In a flash, Lu Qing took off his down jacket and stuffed it into Jiang Fei's arms. He whispered, "Hide well." Jiang Fei was frightened and shocked. He didn't know what Lu Qing was going to do until he saw Lu Qing rushing out. He wanted to shout to stop him, but he didn't dare to open his mouth. He was extremely flustered. Why was Qing so reckless? Those were gangsters with knives. There were 3 of them. What should I do? While his mind was in a mess, Lu Qing didn't approach him directly. Instead, he observed the terrain and environment to make sure there were no cameras. Then, he lowered his center of gravity and walked like a snake. He meandered through the dark area, not letting the dim light from the houses on both sides reveal his appearance. With the experience of pacing back and forth between victory and defeat in the challenge tournament and the accident of the Jindan, he was no longer flustered in the face of trouble. He could calmly consider the consequences of saving someone. If he was caught on camera, and if his appearance or characteristics were remembered by the pursuers, he was afraid that it would bring a lot of follow-up troubles to himself and his family. In particular, it was impossible for him to directly kill and silence them. Swaying his center of gravity and weird snake steps, Lu Qing approached very carefully. His eyes were locked on the 3 approaching enemies. He was not careless because he had fought a professional 9th pin before. There was an old saying in the body refining stage, no matter how good your martial arts are, you are still afraid of a kitchen knife. Even a professional 9th pin fighter would be cautious when facing more than 3 people with knives. A little carelessness could hurt him, let alone him who had just recovered from the backlash of the Jindan. This was not the challenge tournament where the referee was the last guarantee. Even if some fighters were too fast and some were too close, the referee could not stop them in time. At least most of the dangerous situations had been filtered out. In a real battle, knives and guns have no eyes. Life and death in a moment. Therefore, it was fine if they didn't make a move, but once they did, they had to use all their strength to injure others. They had to quickly kill one of them so that the number of people would be reduced to 2 against 2. The sky was dark, and the moon was nowhere to be seen. The 4 of them had no time to be distracted and didn't notice that someone was approaching them. When the distance between them was shortened to 10 meters, when they entered the darkest part of the back street, Lu Qing suddenly sped up. With a few big strides, he came to Wang Su's side. He flashed past Wang Su's left and stared at the first thug's knife. Wang Su ran forward as usual. He felt like a ghost flashed past him. The leading thug saw Lu Qing running straight at him. He did not dare to be careless. He grinned, raised his right hand holding the knife, and was about to chop down. Blood splattered in 5 steps. At this moment, Lu Qing saw his wrist move. Suddenly, a silver lightning struck in Lu Cheng's mind, illuminating the darkness and igniting a prairie fire. The hot flow flowed down the spine and turned into an explosion of stamping on the ground. His speed was pushed to the extreme in an instant. Like an arrow leaving the bow, he jumped in front of the thug. He raised his hands and blocked the thug's wrist that misjudged the speed and the distance between them. The wrist that swung down, the wrist that held the knife. Close at hand, the long machete would lose its effect. Lu Qing blocked the wrist, twisted his waist and back, tightened his thigh muscles, and his knee whizzed out and hit the thug's abdomen in front of him. Puff! The thug's abdomen caved in with a dull sound. His eyes bulged, tears and snot flowed out. His body went soft and was about to collapse. Lu Qing retracted one hand and supported him. His other hand twisted and broke the wrist holding the knife. He shook to the side and let the machete fall to the ground. He directly disabled a thug in a face-to-face confrontation. This caused the pupils of the other thug to contract. Without thinking, he brandished his knife and slashed at Wang Su. He no longer chased after Wang Su, and the third thug behind him also caught up. Lu Cheng was not in a hurry. He straightened his waist and back and pushed the guy he supported directly to the thug next to him, making the latter panic. He took a step to the left, as if he was ready to hit the vital part from the side. Seeing this, the third thug immediately swung his knife to save his companion. All of a sudden, Lu Cheng's spine moved like a dragon breaking through a fence. He forced his muscles to change his center of gravity and pulled his body back. Then he spun his feet and came to the back of the third thug. Such a change in the dark street really gave one a feeling of being haunted. Changing his position, Lu Qing lowered his center of gravity and put on a sitting posture. In his mind, the snowy peaks collapsed and white streams rolled, unstoppable. He raised his right arm and punched down fiercely with the force of a hammer. Bam! This punch landed heavily on the third fighter's shoulder, making a cracking sound. The fighter's right shoulder caved in and he let out a miserable cry. The fighter dropped his machete and rolled on the ground with his left hand on his right shoulder. The mighty mega avalanche. In 2 breaths, the remaining thug did not even see his opponent's height, short, fat or thin. He was scared out of his wits and stopped attacking. He did not think about his companion anymore. He waved his machete wildly and hurriedly ran back. A wise man submits to circumstances. Lu Qing pretended to be chasing him and deliberately made a stomping sound. He was scared out of his wits and did not dare to look back. Like a rabbit shot by an arrow, he quickly jumped to the other end of the back street and blended into the darkness. Hearing the scream, Wang Su stopped in shock and looked back. He saw that the pursuers were either falling down or running away. It was calm now. "Who is it?" he asked subconsciously. Meanwhile, Jiang Fei, who was hiding in a dark corner, was already dumbfounded. He did not know what time it was. He seemed to have seen Superman just now. No, how did Qing become Superman? The phone in his hand was flashing, but the fight was over before he could make a call. Lu Qing walked back to the light and observed the 2 thugs who were groaning on the ground. He was afraid that they had the strength to stand up again. At the same time, he put his index finger to his mouth and signaled Wang Su to keep quiet. When Wang Su saw the figure walking out of the darkness, his mind was in a trance. He even forgot about the pain from the knife wound on his back. He wondered if he had been slashed to the ground and was on the verge of death. He was having a bizarre dream and hallucinations of dying. How could it be Qing? He was not weak, but he was a good student who did not dare to fight. He was not as strong as Wang Su and was not as courageous as Wang Su. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was a bookworm. But it was this kind of Cheng who defeated the 3 thugs who were chasing him with knives in a few breaths. They were amateur 6th or 7th pin machete men who were highly valued by the boss of the enemy force. What was this if not a dream? Didn't I say I would teach him a few moves and improve his martial arts? The pain woke him up quickly. Noticing Lu Cheng's gesture, he pointed outside and quickly turned into another alley. Lu Cheng ran back to his original position, pulled the stupefied Jiang Fei, and quickly left the place. The dim back street was once again deserted. Only 2 figures were still curled up on the ground, groaning in pain. 2 alleys away, Lu Cheng met up with Wang Su. He asked Jiang Fei to hide not far away so that his high school buddy would not be involved in this kind of thing. Do you have a place to go? Lu Cheng asked straightforwardly. Wang Su wrapped his wound with the clothes inside and said absent-mindedly, I have a place to go. I can treat the wound there. Then go quickly. I won't get involved. We can talk later. Lu Cheng's tone was firm. He made it clear that he would not get involved in this kind of thing. He was just saving a friend. Wang Su exhaled and nodded. If this thing can be settled, I will come and talk to you later. After that, he quickened his pace and disappeared at the other end of the alley. Looking at his back, Lu Cheng shook his head and sighed. He quickly left this place and took Jiang Fei back to the old Lu barbecue. They sat in the car. Jiang Fei was still in a state of shock. He stole glances at Lu Cheng from time to time. I said, if you want to see it, just do it openly. Lu Cheng put on his down jacket again and replied to Yan Zhika's message. Do you know the one who was being chased? Jiang Fei asked casually. Yes, he is my childhood friend. Lu Cheng gave a concise answer. Jiang Fei didn't care about this question. He stared at Lu Cheng and said, Cheng, when did you become Superman? I remember we used to fight and you were crushed by my weight. There was martial arts content in high school PE, and the 2 of them had pretended to spar a few times. Didn't I tell you that I joined the university martial arts club and practiced martial arts every day? Lu Cheng raised his chin. Let's go back early. Jiang Fei started the car and muttered, didn't you join the martial arts club to chase girls? It's only been a few months. Both hands have to be strong, Lu Cheng said casually. He was in a bad mood because of Wang Su, so he didn't take the opportunity to show off that he had participated in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament and fought with professional 9th pin fighters several times. Before starting the car, Jiang Fei looked at Lu Cheng again. Under the light in the car, he found that his high school friend's face was a little haggard. But compared to before, he was thinner. From the eyebrows to the chin, the lines and contours were more distinct. He pursed his lips tightly and had a calming temperament. He seemed to be full of confidence in his words and actions, which made people follow his orders subconsciously. Cheng, you seem to have matured. Jiang Fei couldn't find the right words to describe it. He had said this when they were eating barbecue, but now it had a different meaning. Lu Cheng smiled. I hope it's a compliment. Chapter 75. Of course it's a compliment. Jiang Fei answered without hesitation. The unfamiliarity brought about by the shock and fear had completely faded away. As he steered the steering wheel, he clicked his tongue and said, compared to the end of August, you're like a completely different person. If it weren't for the fact that you're still so boring and have such a cheap mouth, I would have thought that I had met a stranger who looked like you. If you didn't say the latter part, we would still be good friends. Lu Cheng laughed and scolded him. What was boring and mean? What was mean by mean? Jiang Fei looked ahead and became more excited. Cheng, how did you do it? How long has it been? Not even half a year. How did you suddenly become so powerful? Just now, I saw you take care of a few gangsters with knives in just a few moves. Previously, I had been concentrating on my studies, so I didn't realize that I had the talent to enter meditation. Enter meditation. Songqing University Martial Arts Club, in order to regain its glory, found a good coach this year. With the combination of these two factors, I improved by leaps and bounds. However, this effect only appeared at the very beginning. The higher you go, the more difficult it is, and the slower your improvement. Jiang Fei was not a pure martial arts fan. He just liked to join in the fun. He had no direct impression of the amateur ranks outside of the professional martial arts competition, so he couldn't judge Lu Cheng's general level. He knew that Lu Cheng was very powerful, but he didn't know how powerful he was. So he laughed and said, "I see. Why didn't I realize that you have talent? Brother Lu, Master Cheng, if I'm bullied in the future, you have to help me." "Who are we?" "A cloud-piercing arrow and thousands of soldiers and horses will come to meet us." Lu Cheng joked. Jiang Fei drove steadily, but his tone was more excited. "Cheng, tomorrow morning, can you teach me a few moves? So that I can show off." "Sure, as long as you can calm down and stand still." Lu Cheng nodded slightly. Still stance was the foundation of real martial arts, followed by moving stance, which was the so-called routine training method. Lastly, it was the practical fighting method such as 24 blizzard strikes. Jiang Fei said excitedly, "Don't worry. I'm forgetful. I can calm down." "I doubt it." Lu Cheng complained silently. Fatty Zhang's mind drifted and he liked to fantasize, which was the opposite of the requirement of concealment of spirit and qi. While talking, the car arrived at the destination and stopped at the gate of the community. Lu Cheng unbuckled his seatbelt and said, "Go to bed early. If you can't get up tomorrow morning, we'll forget it. When I was in high school, I worked hard and I got up early." Jiang Fei said proudly, "Cheng, I'll keep it a secret." "Yeah, I didn't see anything before." Lu Cheng laughed. He stood outside the car door and looked down at Fatty Jiang. "Well, if you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten that you have a big mouth." Back home, the room was still empty. Lu Cheng recalled the rescue process and confirmed that there was no problem with the details. As long as Wang Su didn't say anything, he couldn't find him. Then he was completely relieved. He was busy for a while, washing the clothes and throwing them into the washing machine. Then he logged into the mailbox to see if his master had sent him the video and information of the big and small hand wrap. "Not yet. Then I'll focus on recovery training tomorrow." Lu Cheng sat on the sofa, playing with his phone and chatting with Yan Zhika while waiting for the clothes to be washed. Around 9:00, he was about to get up to dry the clothes when he suddenly heard light footsteps from the 4th floor to the 5th floor. Lu Cheng turned his ear and naturally entered the condensation stance state. He was sure that it was only one person, so he calmly walked to the entrance. After confirming that the footsteps stopped outside his house, he suddenly opened the door unexpectedly. Outside the door, Wang Su had changed his clothes and was wearing a military green coat. His face was pale and his eyes were full of shock. It seemed that he hadn't decided whether to knock or not. "Have you treated the wound? How's it going?" Lu Cheng signaled him to come in first. Wang Su stepped in carefully and said while closing the door, "I asked someone to treat it. It's not a big deal. Tonight's disturbance has been temporarily settled." He was carrying a bottle of Ningxue Daku white wine, which was a local specialty. Once out of Shushan, it was impossible to see it again. Generally speaking, those who had some ability liked to get the original proof wine from Ningxue Wine Factory, which was said to be mellow, spicy, and fragrant. "I know you've quit drinking. This is the authentic original proof wine I prepared for myself." Wang Su skillfully opened the cabinet where Lu Cheng's father kept the wine glasses and took out 2 glasses. Lu Cheng watched him wash the glasses and pour the wine. He was curious and amused. "You're injured. Why are you drinking? How can we chat without drinking? Just treat it as disinfection." Wang Su sat down and said with a smile. "How can you disinfect like that?" Lu Cheng scolded with a smile. After the laughter, there was silence between them. It seemed that neither of them had figured out how to start the conversation. In the depressing silence, Wang Su picked up the glass and took a sip. He sighed and said, "Cheng, I don't know how to thank you tonight. If it weren't for you, my parents would have to pour the wine on my grave. I haven't thanked you for taking care of me before. Now that I've learned some martial arts, how could I watch you die in front of me?" Lu Qing said frankly and sincerely. "Before." Wang Su chuckled. "To be honest, I was quite naive at that time. First, I thought about our childhood friendship. Second, I thought that the kids in our factory shouldn't be bullied by outsiders." Memories flashed in his mind. Lu Qing took a breath and said, "Brother Su, you can't go on like this." Wang Su raised his head and looked at him. He blurted out, "Tonight, it's all because of that son of AB** TCH Jian Laosan. He hired a professional ninth pin master from the provincial capital and attacked our bar when we weren't prepared. He almost killed Lu on the spot. Luckily, Brother Biao and Brother Wei fought hard enough to stop him. But they outnumbered us, so we had to run. The ones who chased me were the saber men under Jian Laosan. They were all of amateur 6th or 7th pin. Usually, I can handle one of them, but at that time, I had no choice but to run. Cheng, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You took care of them in 2 or 3 moves." Lu Qing shook his head. "That's not the point, Brother Su. Not to mention that my abilities are limited. Even if I'm an expert, I can only save you once, but I can't save you forever. Do you really want to walk this path to the end?" Wang Su fell silent. After a long time, he smiled bitterly and said, "I understand what you're saying. I've been in the underworld for a few years and I've seen a lot. The most successful big brothers have been washed clean, while the average ones have been beaten to death. No matter how good one's kung fu is, there's always a moment of carelessness. A moment of carelessness can lead to a different person. Among the group I followed, some of them lost their hands, and some died in the commercial street. Seeing their end, even if I'm a rash kid, I'm still scared. I tried to find a martial arts club to practice martial arts, and tried to quit. I saved a sum of money and planned to start a small business. But in the martial arts world, how can I control myself? Big Brother is going to start a movie and asked me to go. Should I go? What will happen if I don't go? Even if it's just for the sake of brotherhood, I can't refuse." Even during the most chaotic time in junior high, Lu Qing didn't know about these things. Hearing this, he felt depressed. After a moment of consideration, he said calmly, "Brother Su, have you ever thought of jumping out?" "Jumping out?" Wang Su looked at him in confusion. Lu Qing said calmly, "I went to Songqing to study. When I came back, I also took a trip to Yanling. In these 2 places, I almost couldn't feel the connection with Shushan. The world is so big, so why should I be trapped in Shushan? Since it's hard to cut ties here, why not try to go out and see the world? Wait 3 to 5 years and come back when they've almost forgotten you." Wang Su was stunned. After a long time, he took a sip of wine and said, "Cheng, you're still a student. Fortunately, I haven't become Li's henchman. Otherwise, if I get involved in some things and see some secrets, I won't be able to leave just because I want to. Besides, what can I do after I go out? Sell my strength? I see a few people in the community who work in other provinces live worse than me. What's the point of living like that? Don't you want to start a small business?" Lu Qing guessed that Wang Su must be very carefree. According to the playboy sitting in front of him, this kind of thug didn't have to worry about cigarettes, alcohol, women, or money. Ordinary people wouldn't even dare to look at him when he walked on the street. Wang Su lowered his head and poured the wine. He said slowly, "I'll think about it." Looking at him, Lu Qing suddenly felt a wave of emotion. 2 people with similar family backgrounds had chosen different paths in junior high school and led completely different lives. Lu Qing concentrated on his studies, entered No. 1 middle school, and was admitted to Songqing University. Usually, he was in a clean classroom, a beautiful campus, and classmates from all over the world. They talked about games, movies, novels, teachers, girls, courses, and career prospects. Although there was pressure, he rarely came into contact with the bottom of society. He lived in a world where light was more than darkness, and hope was more than despair. Wang Su, on the other hand, was addicted to debauchery and scared of fighting for his life. Every time he got drunk, he might not be able to wake up safely. He enjoyed it, but the overall tone of life was gray. If he couldn't get to the top, if he couldn't successfully clear his name, he would be swallowed by the darkness sooner or later. Despair was more than light. Studying can change one's fate, and so can martial arts. Lu Cheng was more certain of this than at any other time. He changed the topic and said, "Brother Su, you didn't tell anyone about me, right?" Wang Su took another sip of wine. "Don't worry. I know you're a good student. I won't cause you trouble. Lu asked me before and I said I was lucky to meet a friend from the martial arts club. That's how I got away with it. By the way, how did you practice martial arts? How did you become so good all of a sudden?" "I just happened to be talented. I didn't know before I started practicing martial arts. I met a former physical invulnerability mighty one as my coach. That's how I managed to catch up with normal people." Lu Cheng deliberately mentioned the existence of Geezershire. After witnessing Wang Su's daily life, although he was confident in their friendship, he didn't dare to be careless. The title of a physical invulnerability mighty one had directly destroyed all of his hopes and desires. Wang Su visibly trembled. He forced a smile and said, "No wonder I met a good coach. Cheng, can you teach me a few moves? So that I can have more assurance before I succeed in quitting. The foundation of my martial arts is still stance and meditation. You can try concealment of spirit and qi first." Lu Cheng repeated the formula to Wang Su and explained a few key points. Wang Su knew that good martial arts were based on silence. He didn't question and listened carefully. At the end, he said, "I'll go back and practice. I'll ask you later. Keep this bottle of wine for Uncle Lu." After watching him leave the room and close the door, Lu Cheng suddenly sighed. He felt that they were in a completely different world now. As for Wang Su's ability to meditate, he had no confidence at all. How could a drunk person meditate? Life is really full of different circumstances. P.S. As usual, I'll be updating in advance on Monday. Looking for recommendation tickets. Well, I'll be posting on the 1st of December. By then, I'll have over 400,000 chapters. I can't update, so I'm thanking everyone in this free way. Chapter 76. After hanging up the laundry, Lu Cheng locked the door and went back to his room. Lying on the edge of the bed, he couldn't calm down for a long time. He had an impulse to tell her everything. He took out his phone and sent a message to Yenjika. "Something happened after we finished the barbecue today." He tried his best to describe his relationship with Wang Su, his thoughts when he saw Wang Su being chased, and the change in his mood after having a deep conversation with him. Yenjika asked questions from time to time, but didn't say much. When he finished, she said seriously, "Cheng, I think it's still the old saying that everyone has their own future. It doesn't have to be studying or martial arts. Speaking of this, I remember I told you this before. Then you can defeat a professional 9th pin fighter in 4 months. Oh no, I'm so ashamed in front of you." She immediately sent an emoji of squatting in the corner and drawing circles. Lu Cheng's gloomy mood was diluted a little. He couldn't help but say, "Actually, I thought what you said made sense at that time. I never thought I could reach the professional level so quickly." "Don't interrupt. Do you still want to hear me out?" Yenjika said with a fierce emoji. "You're the one who interrupted me." Of course, Lu Cheng didn't dare to answer like this. He said with a silly smile, "Coach Yen, please go ahead. Everyone has their own destiny. We're not gods, immortals, or gods. It's already amazing to be able to change the fate of the few closest to us. As for the others, we can only do our best and leave the rest to fate. We can't make decisions for them, nor can we force them to change their will. Yenjika didn't use an emoticon when she sent this message. Lu Qing exhaled and typed on the keyboard. I understand that, but I always feel powerless and depressed. We used to be such good friends, but now we're in a completely different world. And there's nothing I can do. I can only watch. Cheng, most people are selfish, so am I. I draw circles with myself as the center. The innermost circle is my parents, who are close immediate family members. They are definitely more important than close friends and close friends. Friends are also divided into two categories. One can be good friends for life, and the other can only accompany you through a certain period of life. Just like two non-parallel lines, they intersect at some point, but because of different ideas, choices, characters, and encounters, they will drift apart sooner or later. Instead of meeting each other, it's better to miss each other. For you, Wang Su should be in this category. Yenjika typed a lot of words. It was the first time for Lu Cheng to see Yenjika seriously explaining her three values. Then where is your future other half? He asked subconsciously. Yenjika sent a squinting emoji. I'm not telling you, are you listening to me carefully? Hit the table. Yes, yes, yes. Go on, Coach Yen. Lu Cheng held back his laughter and replied. After some jesting, he felt that his mood had recovered a lot. If you can make a good friend for life, you must have something in common with yourself. Wang Su obviously doesn't. Are you willing to give up your studies and fight for your life in the underworld? Are you willing to cause a lot of trouble for him and even affect your family? Yenjika asked back. Lu Cheng thought seriously and said, I don't want him to affect my current life. Yenjika sent an emoji of nodding repeatedly. Therefore, just as you said yourself, the two of you are already in completely different worlds. If he doesn't turn back, the gap will only grow wider and wider. Sooner or later, there will only be memories left. To put it cruelly, he is just an interlude in your life. It's enough that you helped him wholeheartedly within the limits of your abilities. Regrets are inevitable. My grandpa and grandma taught many disciples. Some joined the police, some joined the army, some worked hard in the professional martial arts circle, some mingled in the business world, and some went astray. There are many like them. Heroes break the rules with martial arts. My grandpa and grandma once felt sad and couldn't sleep because of this. They were furious because of this. Later, they finally thought it through. They tried their best to stop them and save them. That's enough. There's no need to take it to heart. It's hard to be perfect in life. I just want to have a clear conscience. Lu Cheng looked at her quietly and was lost in thought. After a while, he took a deep breath and said, I understand. It's good that I have a clear conscience. I'm just a freshman. I saved his life when we met and sincerely persuaded him to quit. I've done my best. There's no need to take it to heart. Not bad. You're worth teaching. Yenjika sent a proud emoji of pushing up her glasses. Actually, you handled the matter very well today. You saved his life and didn't get involved in it. I used to fantasize that I would be a chivalrous hero after I mastered martial arts. But I was also worried that I would break the rules with martial arts and that there would be a lot of trouble in the future. What you did today satisfied all my fantasies about this kind of thing. Lu Cheng was a little proud and happy. He sent a smirk emoji and said, It's all because you taught me well, Coach Yen. Yen teaches by example, Yen teaches by example, Yen teaches by example, Yen teaches by example, Yen produces a great disciple. Pfft. You're getting better at using words. Yenjika replied with an emoji of staring at a dog. After such a confession and teasing, Lu Cheng's mood completely recovered. He even put on his signature silly smile. They chatted until 10 o'clock. Then he reluctantly went to brush his teeth and take a shower, preparing to go to bed on time. When he finished everything and lay on the bed, he found that Kai Zongming had finally come home. He logged on QQ, saw the message and replied. Secret? You're not a girl. I'm not interested in your secret, unless it's your dark history. Classmate Xiaoming sent a naughty emoji of shaking a finger. Lu Qing replied to Yan Zhika first. Then he said to himself without caring whether Kai Zongming was interested or not, I took a detour to Yanling on my way home this time. I participated in a Warrior Sage Challenge tournament called Phoenix Cup. Guess what result I got? Damn. You're so far away. As for the result, do I even need to guess? You've already told me the full name of the tournament. I just searched it casually. Are you stupid? On the other side of the internet, Kai Zongming sat in front of the computer table, typing with both hands, habitually teasing Lu Qing. Lu Qing snorted and muttered to himself, that's the effect I want. Don't I know you well, Kai Xiaoming? The result that I tell you is definitely not as shocking as the result that you search for yourself. Kai Zongming opened the browser and searched for the official website. He clicked in and read the news directly. The final, Jiang Lan vs Wang Yi. Professional 8th pin vs Professional 9th pin. The 3rd and 4th finals, Huang Zhenzhong vs Bai Song. It's also a battle between Professional 8th pin and Professional 9th pin. Kai Zongming read while twitching the corner of his mouth. He immediately sent a message to Lu Qing. F***CK, I was actually fooled by you. With the level of this competition, your name must have been buried among the masses. How can you find it? Ha! Keep reading. Lu Qing didn't say much and waited for Xiaoming to find it himself. Kai Zongming looked at the screen in confusion. He moved the mouse and suddenly found a news. Contestant number 656, Lu Qing withdrew from the quarterfinals due to physical exhaustion. Quarterfinals? He clicked in, suspecting that it was someone with the same name. No rank. Songqing University student. Defeated professional 9th pin. After a while, he read the keywords silently. Then he picked up his phone without hesitation and called Lu Qing. Qing, you didn't ask someone to make a fake website, did you? Kai Zongming blurted out as soon as the phone was connected. Lu Qing smiled proudly. Damn. You're not Yan Zhika. Do I need to make a fake website to fool you? Do you need to be so smart with your IQ? But you defeated senior brother Wu from the martial arts club by running. It didn't take long. How did you advance from amateur 9th pin to professional 9th pin? Kai Zongming couldn't hide his astonishment. Lu Qing tried to make his tone sound casual. Not long. It's been 3 whole months. I've learned 24 blizzard strikes and improved my strength, speed, and body coordination. I've also gained a lot of experience in sparring. I've also watched a lot of martial arts club matches. The initial opponents in this arena were relatively weak. I fought them one by one and gradually mastered 24 blizzard strikes. I also mastered listening skill and mercurial balance. With some luck, I finally made it into the top 8. Kai Zongming was silent for a while and then said. Qing, why do I feel that you're showing off? Yes, I'm showing off. Lu Qing couldn't help but laugh. Come and beat me if you can. Beat me? Can you beat me? Damn. Kai Zongming was angry and amused. I've never seen such a bitch like you. Just you wait. I'll join the martial arts club for special training next semester. With my talent and Geysershir's guidance, I'll catch up with you in no time. Let's see how you'll show off then. Lu Qing was satisfied and ready to go to bed. Before hanging up the phone, he said, there are videos of my matches on the internet. Watch them carefully. Without waiting for Kai Zongming's reply, he hung up the phone and went to say goodnight to Yan Zhika. After a few days of the challenge tournament, Yan Zhika knew that he got up at 5:30 to train every day. She deeply admired him and acknowledged his improvement in strength. Kai Zongming held his phone and was stunned for a moment. Then he found the videos and clicked on them. As he watched, his mouth opened little by little but didn't close. When the videos were finished, he murmured to himself like he was sleep-talking, "Is this AF * King Orange? I feel like he could beat me several times. He couldn't have been possessed by some old devil, right?" Of course, such things didn't exist in reality. They only existed in novels. At 5:30 the next day, Lu Qing got up on time. He put on his martial arts suit, took his phone and keys, and jogged to Jiang Fei's neighborhood for preliminary warm-up. At this time, the sky was dark and there was no morning light. The street lights on both sides of the street were dim, illuminating the deserted silence and setting off more loneliness. Lu Cheng's breath turned into fog. He arrived outside Jiang Fei's house in the cold. He gave him a call to confirm that he had gotten up. After finishing the set of moves, which was the training routine, Lu Cheng saw Jiang Fei shivering out of the neighborhood. His white martial arts suit was grotesquely stretched by his fat. He held back his laughter and said, "Let's run to warm up first." Okay. After what happened yesterday, Jiang Fei was looking forward to practicing martial arts. "Cheng, where should we run?" Lu Cheng had already planned the process. He pointed to the left and said, "Run to Sanli Pavilion and train in People's Park." Sanli Pavilion? People's Park? Jiang Fei opened his mouth wide and his face was pale. "You'd better kill me. It's at least 10 kilometers. Please recommend me." Chapter 77. Lu Cheng couldn't really let a chubby person like Jiang Fei run 10 kilometers in one go during his first training. That would kill him. The destination was the same, but the method could be adjusted. He let Jiang Fei run until he couldn't bear it anymore. Then he would stop and take a rest. He would do yin-yang stance or condensation stance to train his body coordination and improve his concentration. After more than an hour of running and stopping, they finally arrived at Sanliting People's Park. Jiang Fei was so tired that he was sweating profusely. He had to wipe his sweat from time to time, otherwise, his eyes would be covered by it. If it weren't for Lu Cheng's example, he would have gone on strike. This kind of training was really inhumane. At this time, the sky was already bright. The office workers who were still on holiday were all out. There were many breakfast stalls near the park. Compared to the dark, cold, and silent environment when Lu Cheng first left home, the environment here was like returning to the human world. Jiang Fei found a grocery store with red eyes. He bought 2 bottles of water and gulped them down. After a long time, he finally felt better. He looked at Lu Cheng as if he was looking at a monster. "Cheng, why don't you breathe? Although I have rested all the way, I'm still F** King tired. This distance?" Lu Cheng looked at him with disdain. "I ran more than 20 kilometers in the morning exercise. Why don't you participate in the extreme long-distance running?" Jiang Fei blurted out. Lu Cheng joked, "I'm not bragging. I can run so fast that they all call me daddy. Well, in fact, after I started the martial arts training, I also awakened the endurance talent. This is enough to be called abnormal. No wonder. Then what's the use of using you as a role model?" Jiang Fei's expression was dull. He was speechless for a long time and felt deep regret. Then he said, "Let's start the martial arts training." Since he was abducted here, he should at least gain something. He hoped that this kind of training could help him lose weight successfully. He hoped that he could learn a thing or two and show off in front of girls in the future. Lu Cheng patted his martial arts suit and pointed to the gate of the park. "Go in and find a quiet place. It's convenient for you to meditate." "All right." Jiang Fei was indeed forgetful. He had already regained his senses. The two of them entered the park and saw that under the shade of the trees, beside the lawn, and by the lake, there were trainers in groups of 2s and 3s. Some of them had silver white hair and were practicing Tai Chi. Some of them were nimble and were training with each other. Some of them were stretching their bodies and practicing. It was really a lively scene. Damn, I didn't know that there were so many people training in Shushan. Under the light of dawn, Jiang Fei was stunned. This was the first time he came to the People's Park at 7 in the morning. Let's go deeper. Lu Qing glanced around, looking for a quiet place. Walking along the path beside the artificial lake, the two of them became quieter and quieter. However, they could still see people around them, and it was obvious that they were more professional. At first glance, it was obvious that they were martial artists practicing in the morning. Some were under the guidance of masters, some were urging each other, and some were practicing alone. From time to time, they could hear the crisp sound of inch force. If I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have known that there are so many martial artists in Shushan. Lu Qing glanced at him. This was only one of the parks that was suitable for training. Yeah, they seem to be very good at training. Jiang Fei tried to stretch his neck to look. Lu Qing patted him and said, "Don't look like that. Be careful not to break the taboo." According to the rules in the martial arts circle, looking at other people's training without permission will make you enemies. Gizershur had specifically explained this to him before, so that he wouldn't get into trouble due to his youthful vigor and curiosity. Of course, martial artists wouldn't be too harsh on ordinary people who occasionally passed by and glanced at them. Jiang Fei retracted his gaze and said with emotion, "Didn't they say that all the martial arts dojos and gyms in the city were closed? Why do I feel that they all came here? They can stop their business, but they can't stop their own training. Music never leaves the mouth, fist never leaves the hand." Lu Qing imitated Gizershur's tone and said, "These must be the true disciples of their respective martial arts dojos." While talking, the two of them came to the other side of the artificial lake. When they were looking for a quiet place, Jiang Fei suddenly pointed at a group of people in front of them and said, "Qin Rui." "Qin Rui? Isn't that a student of the amateur rank in the high school class?" Lu Qing followed Jiang Fei's finger and saw that among the group of people wearing blue martial arts suits with white edges, there was a big guy who was more than 1.9 meters tall. He had short eyebrows, a high nose, and coarse hair. It was Qin Rui. Because of his height, this guy didn't participate in the seat rotation and sat in the last row of the class all year round. It was said that he joined the Gushan Martial Arts School in the 3rd year of middle school and mixed in with the same group of people in other classes. He had some reputation in the whole grade, but his grades were getting worse year by year. All he wanted was to get a high school diploma and leave a way out. Noticing the pointers and hearing Jiang Fei's voice, Qin Rui said a few words to his companions and walked over. "Fatty Jiang. You've put on weight again." Qin Rui was stunned at first, but then he laughed at him kindly. Jiang Fei spread his hands and said helplessly, "That's why I'm here to train." "Hey, do you know this guy next to me?" "Why not?" "He's Lu Qing. I always copy his homework." Qin Rui looked at Lu Qing with a smile. "I heard that you've been admitted to Songqing University." "Not bad, you look so energetic." Lu Qing laughed. "You're talking as if I used to be very dispirited. I didn't expect to see you here. I've been training here in the mornings for the past 6 months. It's your first time here." Qin Rui was quite happy to see an old classmate. So it's very likely to meet certain classmates in certain places. Lu Qing suddenly understood. And the easiest place to meet a high school classmate was the repeaters in the number 1 middle school campus. "You've been here in the past 6 months?" he asked subconsciously. Qin Rui said casually, "This is extra training. I used to train at night because I had to study during the day." "Why do you want extra training? Are you going to participate in the ranking event after the new year?" Jiang Fei asked curiously. Qin Rui's expression suddenly became excited. "It's not the ranking event, it's the preliminaries." "Preliminaries?" Lu Cheng and Jiang Fei both knew what the preliminaries meant. It was the entrance to the professional martial arts circle. Yes, the preliminaries. In any case, Shushan is a famous place in the province, but we haven't had any forces or teams in the professional martial arts circle, so we're at a disadvantage in some aspects. In fact, it's not like there haven't been any professional masters in our city. We even have masters in the Danchi state, but we haven't seen any organizations, and we've all gone our own way. Therefore, the professional masters are either old and not as strong as they used to be, or they've left Shushan and joined other teams. Qin Rui started talking non-stop. For the professional martial arts masters who hadn't reached the physical invulnerability state, they could fight occasionally when they got older. But they couldn't fight in the preliminaries all year round. Wouldn't it be better to be a judge, teach disciples, be a guest, or mingle in the police circle? Jiang Fei was interested and hurriedly asked, so this time someone organized it? A rich man sponsored it. Qin Rui nodded hard and said, it's not someone, but the government directly stepped in and gave them subsidies. They set up a martial arts foundation, specially hired people to manage and organize it. They invited all the martial arts clubs and sects in Shushan to participate and select masters to form teams to participate in the preliminaries. In 10 years, they'll strive to enter the third level, the North-South Division. Speaking of this, he laughed. But where there are people, there's Jianghu. No one in the martial arts circle in Shushan wants to take the lead. So the person in charge of the Martial Arts Foundation plans to select the masters through actual combat in the first year, and let several masters to participate in the preliminaries on their own. The one who goes the furthest will get the leading position in the second year. At that time, they'll invite a professional 9th pin or even professional 8th pin master from Shushan to be the leader and try to get some of the unique martial arts skills rewarded in the preliminaries as soon as possible. You're one of the masters? Lu Qing asked with a smile. Qin Rui gave him a thumbs up. Got it. Gushan Martial Arts School, Liheng Martial Arts School, and Fuguang Martial Arts School are one group. Mingwei Martial Arts School, Shifeng Martial Arts School, and several sects are another group. Those are my senior brothers and sisters, and they're all very strong. He pointed at the group of martial artists who were wearing blue outfits with white edges. They were slowly practicing their martial arts routines. Lu Chen glanced at them and chatted for a while. Then he said goodbye to Qin Rui and went to a secluded place to practice. Cheng, in your opinion, how strong are they? Jiang Fei asked curiously when they were far away from the group of martial artists in a small forest. Lu Qing smiled. They're just practicing the routines. How can I see through them? I don't have fiery golden eyes. But since they have the confidence to participate in the preliminaries, they should be at least of amateur 1 or 2 pin. That was the entry level of the professional martial arts circle. Even if they weren't of professional 9th pin, they shouldn't be too far away from it. Otherwise, it would only bring disgrace upon themselves. Amateur 1 or 2 pin. That's pretty good. Jiang Fei sighed with emotion. In his impression, Qin Rui, who was of amateur 4th pin in the second half of his senior year in high school, was already very prestigious in the circle of all schools, let alone amateur 1 or 2 pin. After sighing with emotion, he looked at Lu Cheng and asked, Cheng, what's your level now? I haven't participated in the ranking event, so I can't say for sure. But according to my estimation, my strength should be around this range. Lu Cheng answered modestly. After all, the right time, right place, and right people were needed to fight against professional 9th pin fighters. Around this range? Jiang Fei was stunned. He knew yesterday that his buddy was good at martial arts, but he didn't expect him to be so good. He could even represent Shushan in the professional martial arts preliminaries. He couldn't even beat me half a year ago. Lu Qing moved his body. Stop chatting. Let's start practicing. Jiang Fei was excited at the thought of Lu Cheng's strength. He stood up straight and said with a military posture, okay. Lu Cheng first taught him the kung fu of meditation and explained the essence and key points of concealment of spirit and qi. He let Jiang Fei try it first, while he practiced yin-yang stance and condensation stance again. After practicing meditation, he opened his eyes and started to practice the moving stance, which was the training routine. It could train the muscles from different aspects and adapt to some force exertion skills. It could make the body more vigorous and strong. When he was in the martial arts club, the muscle strength measurement room was more professional and more targeted. Therefore, Lu Cheng was more inclined to the body and force exertion skills in the training routine. After a round of practice slowly, he looked at Jiang Fei next to him and saw that his eyes moved. So he smiled and said, "Can't stand anymore. Are you tired and irritated?" "Yeah, this meditation is so boring, and there's no progress at all." Jiang Fei opened his eyes immediately. Lu Cheng asked him about his feelings and told him his own experience. Then he said, "If you don't have outstanding talent, it's normal to practice meditation for half a year before you can get started. Don't worry, it's okay now." "Can I get started in half a year?" Jiang Fei's focus was obviously different. Lu Cheng's mouth twitched and said, "Most people who can't get started in half a year lose confidence and stop trying. Of course, there are also people with extraordinary perseverance. There was once a mighty one with physical invulnerability who took 3 years to master meditation. Well, you can practice the moving stance with me first." He taught Jiang Fei what he had just practiced. While he explained the problems, he seemed to have a better grasp of the moving stance. Teaching and learning helped each other. When Jiang Fei was barely able to practice a set of moves, he began to practice his fighting style at the side. Single whip, blast punch, hammer punch, leg whip, chain attack, continuous snapping, surging wind, made Jiang Fei stop in shock and watch with wide eyes. Even if he didn't know the kung fu, he could feel the fierceness and madness in it. He felt that he couldn't take a punch or a kick. He quickly came back to his senses and practiced the moving stance more diligently. In the end, Lu Cheng asked him to try meditation again, while he thought about how to integrate the power of flame into his martial arts. Although the flame was very weak, it was still a flame. It might have a miraculous effect if it burned the opponent at a critical moment. P.S. Don't forget the recommendation ticket. Chapter 78. In the morning mist, Lu Cheng glanced at Jiang Fei, who was standing with his eyes closed. He rubbed his thumb and index finger, and an orange-red flame flickered in the chilly wind, as if it would be extinguished at any moment. Bam! Lu Cheng shook his arm and tightened his muscles. He lashed out like a whip, tearing the airflow and suppressing the sound of the wind. Then, the flame was extinguished. It was extinguished by the wind caused by the relative movement. Judging from the current strength of the flame and the difficulty of maintaining it, I can't strike first and then attack. I have to match the two together. Lu Cheng confirmed a previous guess. He didn't name his own special ability, lighter, purely out of bad taste. It also contained an important characteristic, which was that the activation of the flame required a process of activating the heat flow in the body. It couldn't purely rely on one's will. It was just like how a lighter had to have a strike action. Usually, Lu Cheng would use the action of rubbing his fingers to ignite the flame. However, it was obviously not suitable for actual combat unless he had the right time, place and people. After some consideration, he planned to combine the force of an ordinary attack with the ignition of the flame. He adjusted his breath slightly, raised his right arm, twisted his waist and threw a downward punch. The flame was ignited and wrapped around his fist. However, it was immediately extinguished by the wind while he was chopping down. Extinguished. Lu Cheng scratched his head awkwardly and glanced at Jiang Fei again. Seeing that Jiang Fei was so focused that he didn't notice it, he was relieved. He couldn't use this thing to embarrass himself before he succeeded. After some careful consideration, he analyzed the reason for his failure. He found that the normal force of the fist started from the moment of the punch and accumulated kinetic energy in the process. In other words, the flame had already been ignited when the punch was thrown out. The current strength was obviously not enough to withstand the long convection. The force of the fist when it is about to hit the enemy is just a short burst of 1-inch punch, right? I should be able to combine the force of the fist with the ignition of the flame. Lu Cheng thought about it several times. He shook his arm and suddenly shot out like a big gun. He tried to drive the heat flow in the last burst of 1-inch punch. Bam! In a short burst of crisp sound, a little flame jumped out and covered the surface of Lu Cheng's fist. Then it hit the assumed target. The flame shook and was quickly extinguished. However, Lu Cheng's face showed a smile. He had basically achieved his goal. Although this kind of flame was not harmful for the time being and might not even be able to ignite clothes, it could still make the opponent feel pain at the critical moment. Lu Cheng could make a mistake and seize the opportunity. If he used it well, it was possible to defeat a professional of professional ninth pin. Of course, it was a Saint Seiya move. Once it was used in front of the same opponent, it would be difficult for it the second time. He could only rely on surprise. After more than a day of thinking, Lu Cheng finally had an idea on how to strengthen his power of blaze. That was to strengthen his own physique. This time, under the fire force of the Jin Dan, he was almost ruined, which meant that his body was not strong enough. But when he had the body of a professional ninth pin or even Danchi stage, it should not be a big problem for him to withstand that level of backlash. At that time, he could try to absorb the ice force and fire force of the Jin Dan in a controlled manner. While improving himself, he could gradually digest this hidden danger. Of course, this process was full of danger. He had to be very careful. If he accidentally drew out the force beyond the limit, it would be a big joke. Collecting his thoughts, Lu Cheng practiced the 24 blizzard strikes again several times. He tried to integrate the flame power into the 1-inch punch. When he was familiar with it, he looked at Zhang Fei and said with a smile, "How is it? Do you feel the concealment of spirit and qi?" Zhang Fei opened his eyes and said with a sad face, "No." Then he pretended to be angry and said, "It must be because of you. How could I meditate when you were fighting next to me? An old monk can meditate when there is someone next to him in the bridal chamber." Lu Cheng said jokingly, "Let's go. You've almost reached your limit today. Let's go out for breakfast and then go back home." Zhang Fei breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Do you think I'll be so sore tomorrow morning that I have to rely on perseverance to get up?" Lu Cheng smiled and said, "You don't have to wait until tomorrow morning. You'll feel the soreness later. But you'll get used to it after practicing for a few more days." When they passed by the Gushan Martial Arts School's morning exercise place again, Qin Rui suddenly shouted, "Fatty Jiang! Lu Cheng!" They stopped and saw Qin Rui trotting closer. Qin Rui said with a smile, "There's something I need your help with." "What's the matter?" "We're two poor students. What can we do?" Zhang Fei was quite witty. He first blocked the possibility of borrowing money. Qin Rui said with a smile, "It's not a big deal. Fatty Jiang, aren't you helping to organize this class reunion?" "Yeah, what's the problem?" Zhang Fei was confused. Lu Cheng was also confused. He did not know what Qin Rui wanted to ask for help. Qin Rui pointed to the people of the Gushan Martial Arts School and said, "Just now, the disciples of the Mingwei Martial Arts School came to challenge us. They want to learn from each other and increase their actual combat experience. They don't want to embarrass Shushan in the preliminaries. As for the time, they set it the day after tomorrow and let us choose the place. I want to attend the class reunion that day, so I propose to go to the north court of the conference villa of the spring scenery field. At that time, can you ask the homeroom teacher to organize and let the students come to cheer me on and support me?" Zhang Fei suddenly understood and said, "You want to be in the limelight and show off in front of your classmates?" "A little bit." Qin Rui said with a smile, "More importantly, we want to publicize the team that will participate in the preliminaries after the new year and make a name for ourselves." If everyone's performance is similar, the person in charge of the foundation will definitely take the popularity into consideration. Don't worry, we're in the North Court and the class reunion is in the South Court. We won't disturb everyone. The North Court of the conference villa of the Spring Scenery Field had a martial arts arena, while the South Court mainly had leisure facilities for ordinary people. Jiang Fei roughly understood Qin Rui's idea, but he didn't want to take it all on himself. He said sincerely, "Then I'll help you to tell the homeroom teacher. I can't decide what her attitude is, but we've all graduated. Who will pay special attention to her as the class monitor? You can come and shout a few times, and a bunch of guys who have nothing to do will definitely join in the fun." The homeroom teacher was not referring to the head teacher, but the class monitor for 3 years and the organizer of this class reunion, Chiu Hailin. Yeah, and old Wu will also be there. He's a fanatical martial arts fan. How can he not go and have a look? With him as the head teacher taking the lead, you don't have to worry about the other students not cheering for you. Lu Qing echoed. He understood Qin Rui's mentality very well. Once upon a time, he had also yearned for someone to cheer his name, and this was finally realized in the Warrior Sage Challenge tournament. Moreover, it was more than fulfilled. Yan Jika's cheer had won over all others. Qin Rui seemed to want to reach out and shake their hands, but he restrained himself. He said with a smile, "Okay, I'll come and shout a few times by myself." "Hey, that's not right." "What do you mean by, come?" "I'm here. I'm also here for the class reunion." After a few humorous words, he said goodbye to Lu Cheng and Jiang Fei and trotted back to the team for the morning exercise. Looking at his back, Jiang Fei murmured in a low voice, "What a show-off, it's okay." "Who doesn't want that?" Lu Cheng defended Qin Rui. After taking a few steps, Jiang Fei looked back and said jokingly, "Cheng, why don't you jump on the stage, beat all your opponents, and steal their limelight? You're not weaker than them, right? What's wrong with me?" Lu Cheng laughed and scolded, "Why would I get involved in this? Their goal is the preliminaries, and mine is the National University Martial Arts Competition. We'll mind our own business. Even our circles are different." The two talked and laughed as they walked out of the park. They ate minced meat soup noodles and a bunch of other food at a nearby breakfast stall. "How are we going back?" Jiang Fei wiped his mouth. Lu Cheng laughed and said, "Of course we're going back." Jiang Fei's face turned pale. "Brother Cheng, no, Master Cheng, if we go back again, we'll really die. Look at how timid you are." "I'm just kidding." Lu Cheng took out his phone, made an order and waited for the online taxi. Jiang Fei heaved a long sigh of relief and said, "I have to believe you. When you said we were going to Sanli Pavilion People's Park, I really thought you were joking. But it turns out you're not." Back at home, Lu Cheng took a shower and felt refreshed. He had completely gotten rid of the lingering flu. Energetically, he turned on his computer, logged into QQ, and checked his email to see if Gizershur had sent him any videos or information. Obviously, Gizershur didn't get up so early when he didn't need to teach his disciple. Lu Cheng didn't care. He clicked on the chat box with Yan Jika and sent an emoji. "After the morning exercise, I feel alive again." Yan Jika covered her mouth and laughed. "You're not Lu Daiyu anymore." Disappointed. "By the way, Coach Yan, I have something to ask you." Lu Cheng sent an emoji with bright eyes. "Just say it. I'm in a good mood now." Yan Jika sent an emoji with a hook finger. Lu Cheng sent an emoji with a silly smile. "Didn't I earn a bonus of 15,000 yuan this time? Besides treating you to a big meal and a tour in Songcheng, I want to buy a gift for my parents. It's the first real gift, a gift to support myself. What do you think should be a good gift?" He tried to let Yan Jika participate more in his affairs and strengthen the closeness between them. Of course, he really didn't know what to buy. Yan Jika sent an emoji with a dumbfounded expression. "I haven't met your parents and don't know what they like. How can I give you advice? You tell them and I'll help you." Lu Qing thought for a while and said, how about clothes and pants? That's fine. Yenjika crossed her hands and put a thoughtful emoji on her chin. Then here comes the question. Do you know what size clothes your parents wear? XL or XXL? What's their waist? Lu Cheng's expression was dull and he replied with a string of ellipses. I knew it. So, a son is not as considerate as a daughter. Yenjika sent an emoji with a helpless expression. Hee hee, that's why I like a daughter too. Lu Qing followed and replied. On this topic, they chatted for a while before getting back on track. Lu Qing asked, how about I ask my parents directly? Well, that's not a surprise. Are your parents at home? When they're not home, you can go through their wardrobes. Then you'll know. And you can also see what kind of clothes they lack. Of course, don't be too extravagant. Buy a coat or something like that. You have to save your money. When you reach the dance stage in the future, you can't do without the help of medicine soup. Yenjika sent an emoji with a righteous expression. You're right, Coach Yen. Lu Qing answered excitedly. He left his room, entered the master bedroom and opened the wardrobe. Well, this jacket, how long has my dad been wearing it? I remember that I had an impression of it before I graduated from primary school. His woolen sweater had a lot of bumps, and some parts were so thin that they were almost torn. Mom's thermal long johns look so old. How many years has she been wearing them? Lu Qing looked through them one by one. This was an area that he had never paid attention to before. He always thought that after his family's situation improved, his parents' clothes would have been replaced long ago, just like his own. But now, he saw with his own eyes that they were still so thrifty even after buying some clothes to keep up appearances. It seemed that they wanted to save every penny to spend on themselves. Most of the things in the wardrobe are years old, right? It seems that if they don't wear them until they're worn out, they won't be able to wear them again unless they're mended. Lu Cheng's eyes reddened slightly. He took a deep breath and his emotions seemed to have settled down. He felt more sorry for his parents. He checked the size and other information, closed the wardrobe, returned to his room, and sent a message to Yenjika. I'm going to buy a woolen sweater for my dad and 2 sets of thermal long johns for my mom. After asking about the size, Yenjika selected some clothes online and sent a few styles to Lu Cheng. These are not bad. You can choose by yourself. When the time comes, you can buy them directly from their physical store. They may be a little more expensive, but you're a nouveau riche, manual squint. Express delivery will not be restored until after the new year. What a pity. After settling this matter, Yenjika went to practice martial arts. Lu Qing played games for a while. Suddenly, he heard the sound of the door opening and the familiar cough. Mom and Dad are back. Chapter 79. Cheng. As soon as the door opened, Lu Cheng's mother shouted. Lu Cheng had already put down the mouse and walked out. He was surprised and happy. You're back so early. Early? This is early. If it weren't for your dad, I would have started cooking already. Lu Cheng's mother nagged while changing her shoes. Lu Cheng's father was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. His hair was stubbornly messy, and his face was shaved white. He smiled bitterly and said, Your mom is too impatient. She just woke up and didn't eat breakfast, but she's already in a hurry to come back. What's the use of me telling her this? You don't even know when you're home. You haven't eaten breakfast, and it's not time to make lunch yet. Why bother? You're right. Lu Cheng's mother stared at him. I don't need to buy groceries. You don't worry about your son. How old are you, Cheng? He has hands and feet, money and a phone. What's there to worry about? Lu Cheng's father changed into slippers and slowly stepped into the living room with a thermos cup in his hands. He was wearing a black woolen coat. He was slightly shorter than Lu Cheng, about 1.7 meters. He was thin and his face was weathered. There were not many wrinkles, but his cheeks were slightly sagging. Seeing the old couple bickering as usual, Lu Qing felt warm in his heart. He smiled and said, I went out to exercise and had breakfast with Jiang Fei. Exercise? Lu Cheng's mother looked at him suspiciously. Cheng, you used to sleep until noon on holidays. When did you change? She was wearing a red slim-fit down jacket. She seemed to be going to the wedding banquet because her hair was tied up in a bun. The crow's feet at the corner of her eyes were obvious. She was a little chubby, but she was in good spirits and looked good. What's wrong with exercise? The body is the capital of the revolution. As an intellectual, Lu Cheng's father always felt obliged to express his opinion. You talk too much. I'm talking to my son. Lu Cheng's mother stared at him again. Lu Cheng held back his laughter and said, Didn't I tell you before? I joined the University Martial Arts Club. Now I'm used to waking up early every morning to exercise. Martial Arts Club? Don't fight everywhere. What if you get injured? Lu Cheng's mother nagged. I'll go buy some groceries and make you a good meal. Look at how thin you are. You must not eat well in school. Lu Cheng said blankly, No, I put on almost 15 kilograms. Look at your face, which part of you looks fat? Lu Cheng's mother didn't believe his explanation at all. Lu Cheng used actions instead of words. He pulled out the electronic scale at home, took off his jacket, and stood on it. Is this scale broken? Out of battery? Why did he really put on 15 kilograms? Lu Cheng's mother looked at the numbers and asked in surprise. Mom. He used to be rather light, but with the increase in his appetite and the strengthening of his muscles, he could barely be considered as a normal martial artist's weight. But according to Gieserscher's opinion, he had to be heavier, or he wouldn't even be powerful enough to hit someone. That's good. That's good. Lu Cheng's mother smiled happily. Then you go to the market with me tomorrow to get some groceries. It's almost Chinese New Year. We need to stock up. Otherwise, it won't be easy to buy them. She didn't wait for Lu Cheng's reply. She rushed into the kitchen, grabbed a trolley for groceries, changed into outdoor shoes, opened the door and left. Your mom. She's always in a hurry. Lu Cheng's father unscrewed the lid of the thermos, took a sip of tea, and shook his head with a smile. Not bad. Lu Cheng walked to the sofa next to his father and sat down. She always talks about your slow temper. Lu Cheng's father put the thermos on the coffee table. He sat down and asked, How's it going? How's your life in school? He had heard the answers to these questions from Lu Cheng's mother, but he felt that he didn't care enough if he didn't ask. Lu Cheng laughed and said cheerfully, I was wondering if you would ask about this cliché topic, Dad. I didn't expect you to ask. Lu Cheng's father was stunned. He suddenly sighed and said, Cheng, you've become more cheerful after half a year in college. Dad, I wasn't introverted before. Lu Cheng asked in confusion. Lu Cheng's father smiled and said, It's not that you were introverted before. It's just that you're more cheerful now. In the past, you used to answer every question. Now, you even answer first. He said humorously with a line from a skit. Lu Cheng was amused and answered subconsciously, maybe it's because there's less pressure in college and my roommates are easy to get along with. That's why I've become more cheerful. To be precise, he had become more talkative. This was all thanks to Kai Xiaoming. Practicing martial arts to improve his qi, chasing Yan Zhika to improve his speaking skills, and bickering with Xiaoming to improve his joking ability. These were all indisputable facts. He appeared to be more at ease and could liven up the atmosphere. The ancients often said good teachers and helpful friends. This was probably the effect of helpful friends, which could really benefit a lifetime. Although there was a saying that it was easier to change mountains and rivers than to change one's nature, human nature was a gradual process. Lu Cheng was still at the stage of being fine-tuned and would definitely be influenced by his surroundings. It was really a lucky thing to have good friends, good teachers, and good girls. Of course, even if one's nature had been fixed, it was possible to change after experiencing a big change. Well, it's good now. Lu Cheng's father nodded with satisfaction. But even if there's no pressure, you still have to study hard. This is your life's capital. The new college student in our factory really doesn't know anything. Don't listen to other people's nonsense. They say that you can relax and have fun after college. You're playing in a ditch. Lu Cheng used to be impatient to listen to this kind of teaching, but now he was quite emotional. Yeah, there are 3 people in our small dormitory who are especially fond of studying. Every time I see them, I feel guilty and have to work harder. At this time, he found that his father's eyes were fixed on the bottle of Ningxue wine, so he explained, Wang Su brought it. It's original proof wine. He drank 2 glasses by himself. Old Wang's son. Lu Cheng's father thought for a while and said, don't have too much contact with him in the future. Alas, old Wang has suffered a lot all his life. Now that he's old, he still has to suffer from his son's sufferings. Dad, I understand. It's best to avoid this kind of gangster. After chatting with Yan Zhika, Lu Cheng could calmly make a decision. It's good that you understand. Don't be fooled by the fact that I've been in contact with a few famous bosses in Shushan because of the factory. They all seem to be amiable and have a sense of propriety in their words and actions. However, those who work in the underworld have no underlings who dare to fight or kill. Who would be amiable with them? Which boss gets to the top by being amiable? Isn't it all because of fighting and hard work? In the beginning, when you didn't have money, how could you control the people below you if you weren't ruthless enough? Lu Cheng's father was very emotional and couldn't help nagging. At that time, he watched the young workers in the factory become street gangsters one by one. Many of them even got addicted to drugs, which made the security of the community very bad for a period of time. Lu Cheng nodded and said, anyway, I don't like to come into contact with such dark things. Isn't it good to live a sunny life? After a few years, old Wang's son will be old. I hope he can restrain himself. Lu Cheng's father sighed. Old men can't be compared with young men in their teens. They are daring and reckless. If they don't get a good position, they will gradually fade away. Of course, the premise is that they don't get involved in serious crimes and live until then. Lu Cheng was about to say something when Lu Cheng's father added, do you still remember old Han's son? Yes, what happened to him? Lu Cheng asked curiously. Old Han's son was a legend in the community. He was the senior of Wang Su and the others. He was talented and had high martial arts. It was said that he was close to the professional level. Leading a group of young workers in the factory, he fought hard and made a name for himself in the Shushan underworld circle. However, a few years ago, he killed 3 people because of a fight over a mine. The matter became serious and he offended too many people, so he had to run away. No one knew where he went. Lu Cheng's father sighed and said, he hid for a few years and thought that the trouble had passed. In November, he came back secretly. However, he was blocked on the national highway. In the words of the police, he put up a desperate struggle and was killed on the spot. Killed on the spot. Lu Cheng took a deep breath. When Kai Zhongming talked about the kidnapping case and mentioned that the gangsters were killed by random gunshots, he didn't feel much. However, it was different now. This was someone he knew and lived in the building next door. How could he be killed on the spot? Phew, I hope Wang Su doesn't end up like this. He could only wish. Lu Cheng's father didn't continue this depressing topic. He turned on the TV and talked about Lu Cheng's life in school. When Lu Cheng's mother came back from grocery shopping, he took a sip of strong tea and went to the kitchen to help wash the vegetables and cut the meat. Not long after, Lu Cheng smelled a strange smell that seemed to penetrate into his bones. It was the smell of fried eel, one of his favorite dishes. He couldn't help but swallow a few mouthfuls of saliva. He felt that he could eat a bowl of rice just by the smell alone. A person's stomach was trained from a young age. No matter how delicious the food outside was, it would not be as good as the food made at home. Of course, there was a prerequisite to this. His mother or father's cooking skills were not bad, and they were not just for show. When it was time to eat, he swept away the food like a whirlwind. Lu Cheng's mother was very pleased and felt that her cooking skills were recognized. She happily talked about family matters, such as going to grandpa's for the new year, how much New Year's money should be given to the younger generation, and how her cousin failed to open a restaurant and went back to work at the same old place. Lu Cheng's father was drinking original proof wine at the side and only said a few words occasionally. The warm atmosphere was reverberating. Lu Cheng ate with great satisfaction, from his stomach to his soul. The matter of his martial arts competition could be mentioned when he gave the gift. In the afternoon, he chatted with his mother for a while. Then he asked Cheng Chili to go out to buy gifts. Cheng, I want to confess my love to Monitor at this party. In the bar, Cheng Chili threw a bombshell at Lu Cheng the moment they met. Lu Cheng almost couldn't recover from the shock. When did you fall in love with Chiu Hailin? You didn't mention it before? Lu Cheng asked in surprise. Chapter 80. Didn't I share a semester with her when I was in my senior year of high school? Then. Cheng Chili's voice became lower and lower as he spoke. His short hair was parted to the side, and he wore thick black-rimmed glasses. There were a few pimples on his forehead, and there was a sore at the corner of his mouth due to excessive heat. He looked like an introverted person who wouldn't say a word even if you beat him with a stick. However, after getting along with him for a long time, he was not as stuffy as he looked. He could talk incessantly when talking about topics that interested him. Lu Cheng recovered from the shock and gossiped, I was wondering why you always talk to Monitor. It turns out that you had a crush on her. Ha, what's her attitude? Or to what extent are you two? Chiu Hailin left a deep impression on him. She was quite organized and dignified, but her hairstyle and glasses were quite old-fashioned. In the words of Tao Xiaofei, who sat in front of him, look through the appearance to see the essence. Monitor's facial features and skin were fine, but her hairstyle and middle-aged teacher glasses ruined everything. If one didn't look carefully, he would think that she was the head teacher. Thinking of her hairstyle, Lu Cheng couldn't help but want to complain again. He was not familiar with Chiu Hailin, but every time they talked or met, he couldn't help but look at her forehead. Her forehead was big, and she didn't know how to cover it with her hairstyle, so it was exposed so frankly, which always made people have the impulse to flick it. Cheng Chili thought carefully and said, it means that there will be no awkward silence when we talk. There is always something to talk about. Lu Cheng was stunned and blurted out, you want to confess your love in this way? Why not? Cheng Chili was confused. Lu Cheng seemed to see his ignorant and immature self a few months ago. He said earnestly, Monitor is studying in the capital, and you are in the provincial capital. How do you keep in touch? QQ, Cheng Chili answered naturally. Then how often do you talk? How long do you talk each time? Lu Cheng asked patiently. Cheng Chili thought for a while and said, once every 2 or 3 days. If we have a lot of topics, we can talk for 1 or 2 hours. The correct answer should be to chat with him every day, every time for a whole day. Lu Cheng couldn't help but cover his forehead and ask, did the Monitor show any signs of closeness to you, or ambiguity? Well. Cheng Chili was lost in thought. After a long time, he said, but it doesn't prevent me from confessing. I confess because I like her, not because she likes me. Lu Cheng sighed as he recalled the words of Kai Xiaoming, the Casanova, and said, Old Cheng, this isn't how confessions work. He reorganized what Xiaoming had taught him and explained it in a language that was suitable for Cheng Chili's understanding. Cheng Chili was gradually stunned as if he had opened the door to a new world. After he finished, Cheng Chili paused for a while and then said with admiration, Cheng, if it weren't for you, I would have screwed this up. It turns out that you can't directly confess to a girl when you're pursuing her. Where did you get that experience from? I don't think you were in a relationship in high school. Could it be that you were enlightened after college? He almost stretched out his hands to hold Lu Qing tightly and shake him heavily. Enjoying his gaze, Lu Qing felt the pleasure of being a good teacher. He laughed and said, I'm pursuing a girl. I asked others for advice and then I have my own experience. No wonder. Qing Qili said curiously, you didn't mention that you were pursuing a girl before? Lu Qing gave a hollow laugh and said, I wanted to talk about it after I got her, so as not to embarrass myself. You can introduce her to us then. Qing Qili said the same thing as Jiang Fei. When I introduce her to you, I'm sure you'll be scared to death. Lu Qing chatted with old Cheng and talked about the interesting things about their studies. Many topics couldn't be induced by chatting on the internet. After all, he was only willing to spend so much energy to talk about everything in detail with the girl he loved. He didn't care about rough men like Jiang Fei and Qing Qili. They talked and laughed until 4 o'clock. Qing Qili went home to accompany his relatives. Lu Qing took his mobile phone and went to the local business center under the guidance of Yan Zhika. He found the 2 brick-and-mortar stores and paid directly for 2 sets of women's thermal long johns and a woolen sweater. Yan Zhika only had 1 sentence for this. I'm so pissed off. Don't you know how to ask if there's any activity, whether you can make up the bill, and whether you can get a discount? You just bought them directly. I think the price is quite reasonable. Lu Qing answered in a low voice. Yan Zhika sent a dazed emoji in the cold wind and said, Okay, this is very Cheng, very manly. What a spendthrift. Back home, Lu Qing walked through the living room carefully to avoid his mother who was cooking. He hid the gifts in his room and waited for a surprise on New Year's Eve. At this time, Geezer Sure had sent the video and detailed information of the big and small hand wrap to his email. He watched and discussed with Yan Zhika and had a preliminary understanding of the theory. To put it bluntly, the big and small hand wrap was a combination of grappling and counter-grappling. It was very effective in close combat when combined with the listening skill. It was a good choice for street fighting in a situation where other fighting styles could cause serious injuries or even death if one was not careful. In addition, the description of joints in the attached information was also quite interesting. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the high school reunion. Lu Qing and Jiang Fei finished their training and went home to shower and change clothes. They got in the car and went to the gathering place. Coach Yan, we're going to see Du Liu today. What do you think I should do to help you bully him as revenge for stealing your darling's seat? Lu Qing sent a message to Yan Zhika in the car while the scenery passed by. Yan Zhika replied with a proud emoji wearing sunglasses. Just throw him to the ground. This. In public, people will think that I have a crush on Song Li. Lu Qing replied with a dumbfounded emoji. Just kidding, Yan Zhika shrugged and said, help me ask him about his relationship with Song Li and see how he answers. I have to help that little girl. Cheng, I'll leave this important spy mission to you. Don't let me down. I promised to complete the mission. Rest assured. Lu Qing replied with a smile. When they arrived at the gathering place, Fatty Jiang, as the assistant organizer, had already arrived. His current condition could be described as sore waist, back, and leg cramps, but he could go up 5 floors in one breath. His weight loss had not yet taken effect, but he seemed to be more energetic. He was talking with the monitor, Chiu Hailin and others. Qing Qili changed into a new set of clothes and tried to look clean and energetic. He stood beside them and chimed in from time to time. Out of habit, Lu Qing glanced at Chiu Hailin's forehead again. Her big forehead was still exposed, but her hairstyle was more fashionable and her glasses were replaced with contact lenses. Suddenly, she seemed to be a different person. She could almost be called a beauty. He chuckled and walked over to greet them. Cheng, you've changed a lot. I almost didn't recognize you. Chiu Hailin said with a smile. Lu Qing laughed and said, "No change is as big as yours. Look at your old deskmate. He's so surprised that he's shivering and doesn't dare to speak." He imitated Kai Zongming and tried to connect Qing Qili and Qiu Hailin to create opportunities for him. "Brother, this is the only way I can help you." Everyone burst into laughter. Qing Qili blushed. Qiu Hailin covered her mouth and said, "Look at the way you talk. You've really changed a person. By the way, do you still remember your old deskmate?" She pointed at a girl in a light blue cotton-padded jacket. She was Lu Cheng's deskmate in the first and second year of high school. Her name was Chao Lele. She was a girl with a small nose, small eyes, and small mouth. But overall, she looked quite delicate. She was also the one Lu Cheng and Yan Zhika talked about when they talked about menstruation. Seeing Chao Lele, Lu Cheng unconsciously recalled that topic and his sudden realization. He almost couldn't hold back his laughter. He nodded and answered, "How can I not recognize her? Lele was half my English teacher back then." Chao Lele saw his strange expression and asked in confusion, "Lu Cheng, what's with your expression?" "No, nothing. I just suddenly thought of something else." Of course, Lu Cheng wouldn't mention that topic stupidly. While they were talking, more and more classmates gathered. Qin Rui came and whispered to Jiang Fei and Qiu Hailin. Tao Xiaofei, who sat in front of Lu Cheng, also came. He drove a BMW 7 Series and chatted with Lu Cheng for a while. Old Wu and teacher Xin came. Old Wu was a skinny middle-aged man with big glasses that almost covered half of his face. No one could tell that he was a fanatic martial arts fan. While teacher Xin was petite with pretty features. She became the head teacher of Lu Cheng's class 2 years after graduating from college. But due to lack of experience, she let Old Wu handle the key period of the 3rd year of high school. Du Liu was also there. After he had a girlfriend, he was dressed more neatly and pleasing to the eye. His black coat accentuated his height of 1.8 meters. His short hair made him look more energetic, and his eyebrows were as thick and black as usual. This gave him the nickname of Little Xian in class. "Fatty Jiang, cooperate with me later. I'm going to torture Du Liu to find out about his relationship with Song Li." Lu Cheng pulled Jiang Fei over and whispered. Jiang Fei laughed. "Cheng, I didn't expect you to be more gossipy than me. But, do you have to ask for so many details? Don't tell me you have feelings for Song Li. I'm asking for someone." Lu Cheng said concisely. "Who is it?" Jiang Fei was confused and at a loss. Lu Cheng smiled. "Of course it's Song Li's best friend, Yan Zhika." "What the F***ck? Jiang Fei's mouth was wide open. His face was full of shock. After a while, he gave Lu Cheng a thumbs up and said, "Cheng, you did well. You got Yan Zhika's contact number." At this time, almost all the students had arrived. Fatty Jiang didn't have time to say more and organized everyone to board the tour bus. It was more than 10 kilometers from the rendezvous point to Shushan's 9 turns. It was quite a distance from 9 turns to Spring Scenery Fields Conference Villa. Although it was supposed to be a hike, no one would really walk there except for a freak like Lu Cheng. Qiu Hailin contacted the tour bus to send everyone to the conference villa. Those who liked to hike could do it themselves during free time. As for the money for the party, it was already collected online. It was 200 yuan per person. Tao Xiaofei would bear the cost of the party. After boarding the bus, Lu Cheng sat beside Du Liu without hesitation. Du Liu was stunned. He thought to himself, "I don't think I have such a good relationship with him." At this time, Qiu Hailin counted the heads and clapped in front of the bus. Except for Tao Xiaofei and a few others who drove there themselves, everyone is here. Please be quiet. Qin Rui has something to say to everyone. Qin Rui stood beside Qiu Hailin. He was full of smiles and humorous words. Today, I have a martial arts competition at the North Court of the Conference Villa. It's related to the preliminaries after the new year. I hope all of you can come and cheer me on. Happy New Year to all of you. It was rare for such a thing to happen. The whole class cheered and said they would go. The atmosphere was very lively. To be honest, Lu Cheng was also very interested in this. He was curious about the level of the martial arts circle in his hometown. Chapter 81. Du Liu and Lu Cheng could only be considered as classmates, not friends. He had his own little circle of friends and had planned to sit with his best friend Xiong Tao. However, Lu Cheng had suddenly inserted himself into the seat. He was confused. After Qin Rui finished his story, Xiong Tao, who was standing at the side in a daze, patted Lu Cheng on the shoulder. "Hey, Lu Cheng, why are you sitting in my seat? I have something to ask Du Liu. I'll return your seat to you later." "Sorry." Lu Cheng looked straight into Xiong Tao's eyes calmly. Xiong Tao was a little annoyed at first. However, when he met Lu Cheng's eyes, heard his sincere words, and felt his confidence and calmness, his anger disappeared. Instead, he smiled and said, "What's the matter? Can you tell me about it?" "Just a little gossip." Lu Cheng turned to Du Liu and smiled. "Tell me about your experience." Du Liu suddenly realized and pointed at Jiang Fei, who was sitting in the row behind. "Fatty Jiang, didn't we agree to keep it a secret?" Jiang Fei looked tired. "It's not the first time you know that I have a big mouth." Beside him, Ching Chili couldn't hold back his laughter and burst out laughing. Du Liu was annoyed and amused. No wonder Song Li said that everyone in her class knew about it. "It's all because of your big mouth. I was still wondering when we were seen again." "Good job, Fatty Jiang. You took the blame for your brother." Lu Cheng praised in his heart. He smiled and said, "So, tell us honestly. Don't let us torture you." Oddly enough, Du Liu knew that he wasn't familiar with Lu Cheng. But his confident and generous attitude and humorous words seemed to reduce the gap between them. Du Liu said subconsciously, "What's there to explain? Isn't it just this and that?" As his best friend, Xiong Tao already knew about his relationship with Song Li. He didn't find another seat but stood beside Lu Cheng. With one hand supporting the back of the seat, he said with a smile, "Details. We want to know the details. This kind of thing could easily cause a commotion." Lu Cheng copied Kai Xiaoming. He looked at Du Liu and pointed at Xiong Tao. "Did you hear that? The voice of the masses. Tell me, how did you and Song Li begin?" Du Liu's voice was not loud, and it was limited to the 2 rows of people in the noisy environment. Du Liu relaxed a little and scratched his head. "Aren't we in the same city? Not long after school started, a senior brother organized a party for us. You know, she was very close to Yan Zhika at that time. They often hung out together and were well known in our grade. Of course, I was very surprised and excited to meet an acquaintance. So I boldly asked for her phone number and QQ number. She seemed very happy and didn't refuse. Well, there are 4 great joys in life: meeting an old friend in a foreign land." "Damn it, are you trying to turn meeting an old friend in a foreign land into a wedding night?" Jiang Fei couldn't help but complain. "And then? You've already started to pursue her?" Xiong Tao had already answered for Lu Cheng, full of enthusiasm. Du Liu's eyes widened. "How is that possible? After we got to know each other better, Song Li would ask me for help from time to time. She would drag me along when she was traveling around. Think about it, she's not bad looking. Except for being a little shrewish, she's quite cheerful and lively. I couldn't help but fall in love with her." Shrewish. Lu Cheng silently memorized his words in his little notebook. He teased, "According to what you said, she was the one who made the first move." There was also a gathering for the provincial fellow townsmen meeting in Songcheng, but at that time, he and Yenjika had already started their special martial arts training, so they couldn't find a suitable time to attend the meeting. So they simply ignored those people. I think so. Back then, she kept looking for me. My roommates all said that such a classmate relationship would develop into adultery sooner or later. Du Liu said with a hint of pride. I don't believe it. Why would a girl like Song Li fall in love with you? Xiong Tao said sarcastically. Du Liu said with a smile, I don't know. Maybe she saw that I'm more mature and steady, wretch. Lu Cheng, Jiang Fei, Xiong Tao, and Qing Qili beside them were all retching. What are you talking about? Why are you so happy? Qiu Hailin had been chatting with them from the front to the middle. She was more like a teacher than the two head teachers. We're talking about Du Liu and Class 3. Song Li from Class 3. Jiang Fei, the big mouth, made a broadcast without hesitation. Halfway through, Du Liu wanted to stand up and cover his mouth, but Jiang Fei cleverly dodged. Qiu Hailin's eyes widened. Du Liu and Song Li from Class 3 are dating? Yeah, homeroom. We're asking him for advice. Do you want to hear it too? Lu Cheng said while giving Qing Qili a look. He wanted him to take the initiative to tell Qiu Hailin what had just happened. Qiu Hailin listened with great interest. Her gossipy nature was aroused. Well done, Du Liu. You've won glory for our class. I heard that someone from Class 3, Jia something, once pursued Song Li, I know. Song Li said that Jia Yu likes to pretend to be a scholar and a scholar. She doesn't like him at all. Du Liu said with a smile. How does it feel to be in a relationship? Lu Qing interrupted, doing his job as a spy and a traitor. Du Liu thought for a while and said, I can't describe it with words. It was wonderful at the beginning. Now it's okay. Although she's a little too nosy, everything else is good. After listening to him, Jiang Fei, the forever single dog, quietly asked, which base are you guys at now? With a pft, Qiu Hailin blushed and looked to the side. Du Liu was embarrassed and angry. He said fiercely, get lost. How can you ask such a question in public? Lu Qing laughed as he remembered the key point. He was a little too nosy, everyone laughed and laughed. Time flew by. The bus drove to the entrance of Spring Scenery Field Conference Villa. Tao Xiaofei's BMW was already parked nearby. When he got off the bus, Lu Qing bumped into his homeroom teacher, Old Wu. He smiled and greeted him, long time no see, Mr. Wu. You're getting more energetic. Ha! Old Wu laughed. Lu Qing, you've learned how to talk. In the past, you'd say, hi, Mr. Wu, at most. You make it sound like I was in kindergarten and just learned how to talk. Lu Qing said humorously. The other students couldn't help but laugh. Old Wu said cheerfully, not bad. Looks like you've learned a lot in Songqing University. Yes, Mr. Wu. I've joined Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Lu Qing deliberately bent his elbow to show off his muscles. Old Wu was surprised. He looked at him from head to toe. I know you like martial arts, but I didn't expect you to go there specifically to learn. It's good for your body. You can't be like me, skinny and weak. While they were talking, everyone entered the villa. For the time being, no one was going out on their own. They sat around Old Wu and teacher Xian in the tea house and chatted about their high school days. For example, Tao Xiaofei was a mischievous boy who always talked back to teacher Xian, who had just graduated from university 2 years ago. There were also times when Old Wu would sneak in from the back of the class and watch everyone in silence. Old Wu and teacher Xian would also reveal their mental journey back then and truthfully describe their own impressions of themselves. Reminiscing about the past was always heartwarming. As long as it wasn't too bad, it was a different feeling to talk about it. It was like returning to the most youthful years of their lives, and most people didn't have the pressure to study anymore. Only when they couldn't go back did they understand how precious it was. After sitting and chatting for a while, Lu Qing felt that this class reunion was not in vain. After almost an hour, some people asked their friends to go to the free KTV to sing, play table tennis and badminton, and walk around the nearby mountain path to breathe in the fresh air. Lu Qing, Jiang Fei, and the others kept Old Wu and Mr. Xian company, talking and chatting. Many things that were inconvenient to talk about during their school days could now be talked about, like the truth behind the sick leave. There was less fear and awe between the teachers and students, and more comfort as friends. When it was almost 12 o'clock, the students gathered again and headed to the banquet hall of Nanyuan. There were more than 50 people, and after squeezing a little, 5 tables were set up. Each table had white wine, beer, red wine, coconut milk, and orange juice. Seeing that everyone was seated, Qiu Hailin stood up, holding a glass of red wine. Full of energy, she spoke like a speech. Everyone has graduated for a semester. Today, we are gathered here for the sake of our youth and friendship that will never fade. Teacher Wu and Teacher Xian have accompanied us for 3 years, taught us for 3 years, and worked hard for us for 3 years. Let us first toast to them. Everyone clinked their glasses against the glass turntable, then stood up and poured wine for themselves. It was a mess. Without a second thought, Lu Qing took the coconut juice and poured himself a cup. "Hey, Lu Qing, why are you drinking like a girl?" Tao Xiaofei, who was sitting at the same table, complained. More than 10 people glanced at him, but Lu Qing didn't feel embarrassed. He said calmly, "I've quit drinking." At this moment, Qiu Hailin raised her glass. "Cheers." As soon as she finished speaking, Tao Xiaofei said, "Wait a minute, we have a guy here who is not a girl. Why are you using a drink instead?" In a flash, everyone's eyes were fixed on the glass in Lu Cheng's hand, which was full of coconut milk. If it was in the past, Lu Cheng would have blushed and wanted to find a hole to hide in. He wouldn't be able to bear this feeling and would quickly change the drink in his glass for wine. But at this moment, he was calm and didn't think it was a big deal. He looked around, raised his glass, and said loudly, "Mr. Wu, Mr. Xian, and everyone, I'm now practicing martial arts with Songqing University Martial Arts Club. I've quit drinking, so I'll use a drink instead to toast to you." The foppish guy sitting in front of him was actually a good person. He never deliberately bullied his classmates, but he liked to talk dirty. He was also more self-centered and didn't care about other people's feelings, just like just now. Tao Xiaofei was immediately dissatisfied. "We haven't seen each other for half a year. What's wrong with drinking a little? What can this little bit of wine do to you? Can't you break the habit and drink a little for Mr. Wu, Mr. Xian, and us? You're not a good friend." Lu Cheng looked straight into his eyes. His smile didn't change, but his tone was firm. "Didn't Mr. Wu teach us that an ant's nest can destroy a 1,000-mile dike? Once you break the habit, you can't quit." Tao Xiaofei wanted to say more, but Old Wu had already raised his glass and said, Okay, we're all here for a class reunion. Let's have fun. If you want to drink, drink. If you want to drink, drink. If you want to drink, drink. Don't force others. Female students, you have to be more careful. If you don't want to, you have to be careful, he said humorously and finished the light liquor in his glass in one gulp. Cheers to the past 3 years. Cheers. The students also drank the drinks in their cups. Just as Lu Qing sat down, Jiang Fei leaned over and said with admiration, "In that atmosphere just now, I thought I wouldn't be able to hold on. I could only drink a sip and it wouldn't be considered breaking the habit. I didn't expect you to be able to hold on. It's also a way to train my willpower. If I can't hold on to this level of pressure, how can I go on the road of martial arts in the future?" Lu Qing said casually. At the dinner table, Tao Xiaofei made a face, but he didn't find fault with Lu Qing. He just treated him coldly, not as affectionately as when they first met. After dinner, Qin Rui asked everyone to go to the North Garden to wait for the competition to start. He excitedly told Lu Cheng, Jiang Fei, and the others that the person in charge of the Golden Foundation would watch the competition in person. As long as they performed well, they might get more resources in the preliminaries after the new year. Therefore, both sides paid more attention to the competition. At the entrance of the North Garden, Qin Rui and the people from the Gushan Martial Arts School met up. Tao Xiaofei, who had been hanging around bars all year round, was obviously no stranger to this group of martial artists. He went up and talked cheerfully with the leader of the group. The underworld and martial arts schools were inextricably linked. Even if these thugs were unorthodox before, they would still want to learn proper martial arts after they had some money. They would want to improve their strength and gradually climb up the ranks. Since Tao Xiaofei had a relationship with Qin Rui, of course he would call the thugs from the Gushan Martial Arts School brothers. Do you think Tao Xiaofei will ask the people from the Gushan Martial Arts School to beat you up? Jiang Fei looked forward and said with a talent for provoking. If they really fought, he wouldn't worry at all. With Cheng's talent for endurance, even if he couldn't beat them, he could still walk them to death. Lu Chen glanced at him and said, Is it necessary? It's just a matter of persuading people to drink. Although he said so, he still used the condensation stance to eavesdrop on what Tao Xiaofei was saying from a short distance away. Brother Feng, don't you think it's funny? A man who became a monk suddenly told me that he wants to quit drinking in order to practice martial arts. You're so powerful, but I don't see you not drinking in private. What's wrong with taking a sip or two? You don't give me any face. A pot of water doesn't make a sound, but half a pot of water does. No. I'm just complaining. We've been classmates for 3 years, so there's no need to fight over such a trivial matter. At most, we won't keep in touch with each other anymore. Lu Qing listened and smiled slightly. Tao Xiaofei's nature was really good, but he was too self-centered. At this moment, his eyes suddenly froze, because a man in his 30s was walking towards him. He had a neat buzz cut, wore a short leather jacket, and wore shiny leather shoes. Just by looking at his appearance, he looked like an ordinary person you could find on the streets. But what caught Lu Cheng's attention at first sight was the vigorous qi and blood around him. When the body refining stage reached the limit, the qi and blood were close to the current peak, but they couldn't be integrated and controlled freely. Therefore, the vigorous qi and blood could almost be turned into a kind of fierce feeling. Those who had never met a professional ninth pin fighter might not be aware of this, but after meeting Lin Ke for a long time and fighting with Wang Yi, Yi Yaoting, and Zhou Yuaning, Lu Cheng was very sensitive. At first sight, he believed that the man was a professional ninth pin fighter. Even if he was not as strong as Lin Ke, Yi Yaoting, and the others, he was not far behind. Moreover, this man's eyes were unusually sharp and indifferent, giving people a sense of danger. If Lin Ke, Yi Yaoting, and the other professional ninth pin fighters were tigers in the zoo, who could hurt people, but always lacked a little wildness, then the man in front of them was a wolf wandering in the wilderness. A professional ninth pin fighter. Is he the chief general invited by the foundation? But this thing hasn't started yet, right? Lu Cheng was a little confused, seeing that the man was getting closer and closer to his team. When they were about to pass by each other, the man in the short leather jacket suddenly staggered and bumped into the leading young man beside Tao Xiaofei. The leading young man was tall and strong, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was very energetic. He frowned and blurted out, "How do you walk?" The man in the short leather jacket stared back at him, "Don't you have eyes?" As soon as his voice fell, his momentum suddenly burst and turned into a hungry hunting wolf, as if he had been waiting for a long time. Lu Qing suddenly realized that he was here to pick a fight. To pick a fight against Gushan Martial Arts School. Chapter 82. Even though there was a distance between them, Lu Cheng, who was naturally in the condensation stance state, could feel the terrifying aura of the man in the short leather jacket. The surroundings seemed to have become empty all of a sudden. The cold moon hung high in the sky, the cold wind and the bitter rain. A giant wolf with green eyes was howling at the sky, ready to attack, which made people shudder. This. Lu Cheng was shocked. The aura of the man in the short leather jacket could directly affect his spirit and soul. This was something that Lin Ke, Yi Yaoding, and Wang Yi couldn't do. Bam! As soon as the voice of the man in the short leather jacket fell, he pulled his right arm back like a drawn bow and shot out a punch. The punch was strong and powerful, and the sound of the wind was short. The leading young man didn't expect that he would start the fight without saying anything. He had no time to react, so he could only put his arms forward and put on the most rigid defense posture. With a muffled sound, his body swayed and blocked the blow. The man in the short leather jacket leaped to the side with the help of the rebound force and shouted, "Hey! You have more people, so I won't argue with you." As he spoke, he quickly left. The group of Gushan martial arts school disciples were at a loss as they stood rooted to the ground. They had yet to figure out what had happened. It wasn't too rare to have a dispute with someone on the side of the road over a trivial matter. But it was too strange to have such a strong start and weak finish. Wasn't it too strange for it to come to an abrupt end? The man who provoked them just tried and left in a hurry. They didn't understand what he was thinking. If he was afraid of the number of people here, why did he force himself to fight? Was it because he couldn't hit them, so he ran away immediately? Lu Cheng was also confused. Did the provocation against Gushan martial arts school just go away like this? The other side had invited a mighty one of the professional ninth pin. Was it necessary to play house like a child? Senior brother Dai, are you okay? Qin Rui came back to his senses and asked his eighth senior brother, Dai Linfeng. Dai Linfeng was the strongest disciple of his generation in the martial arts club. He was already of amateur first pin at the age of 20. Even among the martial uncles, he was only weaker than his master. Dai Linfeng moved his arms and said with confusion, "I'm okay. Maybe it was just a moment of impulse. Let's go in quickly. Don't let our master and Chairman Wei wait for too long." The man just now was not weaker than him. Why did they have such an inexplicable conflict? Fortunately, he was fine. If he couldn't figure it out, he wouldn't think about it for the time being. The disciples of Gushan Martial Arts School and Lu Cheng's classmates were even more confused. They turned their heads and put this episode behind them, stepping into the Beiyuan Gymnasium. Something strange. Lu Cheng frowned slightly and muttered under his breath. Beside him, Jiang Fei's ears were quite sharp. He heard his words and asked in surprise, "What's strange? Wasn't it just a small friction that didn't turn into a big conflict? We do have the advantage in numbers." Lu Cheng looked around and saw that no one was paying attention to his conversation with Jiang Fei. Then he lowered his voice and said, "That guy just now was of professional ninth pin. If he really attacked, how could Senior Dai, whose reaction was obviously slower, not get hurt?" Professional ninth pin. Jiang Fei almost could not control his voice. Then why did he run away after just one move? That's why I said it's weird. Lu Cheng pursed his lips. Jiang Fei looked at him doubtfully. "Are you sure you didn't see wrongly? He only threw out one punch. How could he prove that he was of professional ninth pin? Look at that senior brother Dai, he doesn't even care about it." "I'm sure." Lu Cheng answered firmly. The feeling of the vigorous qi and blood and the horrifying momentum couldn't be faked. Forget it. Anyway, nothing serious happened. Jiang Fei was stunned. Since he couldn't find a good explanation, he simply chose to forget it. The martial arts stadium of the conference villa was not big. The ring was of the standard type. The surrounding seats were only 2 or 3 steps away from it. The height was only 5 rows, but it could accommodate hundreds of spectators. But this was a private venue for guests who liked martial arts. There was no need to consider the audience. The dome lights were shining brightly. A group of people were sitting on the left side of the entrance. The leader was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He was wearing a suit and leather shoes. His hair was neatly combed back, reflecting the dim light. He had heavy eye bags and was not in good spirits. But he had a kind of dignity as if he had been in a superior position for a long time. Seeing Dai Linfeng, Lu Cheng, and others enter, he was stunned at first. Then he came to greet them. Beside him were two old men in their 50s. One had sharp eyes, but his face was full of wrinkles. The other had cloudy eyes, but he took good care of himself. There was no white hair or wrinkles. Both of them still had vigorous qi and blood. At least they could still turn into substantial qi. In other words, they still had some of the physical qualities of professional ninth pin. Chairman, Master. Dai Linfeng and other disciples of Gushan Martial Arts School hurriedly saluted. Chairman of the foundation Wei Renjie smiled and said, Dai Linfeng, you are in good spirits. Today you are going to show your strength. Who are these friends? Chairman, they are my high school classmates. Today is a gathering. They are here to cheer for me. Qin Rui had been waiting for this opportunity to get familiar with them. High school. Which high school are you from? Wei Renjie greeted them with an amiable attitude. Qin Rui quickly explained, we just graduated half a year ago. We are from number 1 high school. These two are our head teachers, Teacher Wu and Teacher Xian. Oh, Teacher Wu. I have heard of him. He is a special class teacher in number 1 high school. Wei Renjie walked up to old Wu and held his hand. I also graduated from number 1 middle school, so I'm your senior. You are the morning sun, the pillars of Shushan in the future. When you graduate from university, don't forget your hometown. He spoke in a bureaucratic tone, but his expression showed that he was very happy. When he saw his classmates, he was reminded of his most youthful and spirited years. As a special class teacher, old Wu had seen many leaders, especially those whose children were still in school. They were very enthusiastic about him. Therefore, he was not afraid and said with a smile, I am no stranger to chairman. You were the pride of number 1 high school. After graduation, you applied to go back to your hometown. When the old principal talked about you, he was full of praise. His words scratched Wei Renjie's itch. He felt good from the bottom of his heart and said with a smile, I haven't seen the old principal in a long time. Come, let's sit together. What is the purpose of our team to participate in the preliminaries? First, it's to make Shushan famous. Second, it's to get the country's resources to favor it. Third, it's to make everyone pay more attention to martial arts and increase their interest in strengthening their bodies. I'm very happy to have all of you here to watch this competition. It's a small achievement. Everyone, you can't neglect martial arts and strengthening your body while studying. Otherwise, you'll be like me, old and sick. Wei Renjie was very excited and introduced two old men to Lu Cheng and the rest. These two seniors are the mainstays of Shushan's martial arts circle. This is Mr. Chu Weikai, the head of Gushan Martial Arts School. This is Mr. Ning Xuanli, the head of Mingwei Martial Arts School. Chu Weikai was the one with heavy wrinkles and sharp eyes. Ning Xuanli was the one with good maintenance and cloudy eyes. After a few words of courtesy, they led their disciples to sit on two sides and waited for the competition to start. Wei Renjie stopped talking and walked to the arena. Since there was an audience, he naturally had to give a speech out of habit. After a long speech, he got to the point. This time, we have invited Mr. Zhu Zushou from Ryoha Martial Arts School of the provincial capital to be the referee. We have a real combat practice for the preliminaries after the new year. There will be a total of 3 matches. The first match, Dai Linfeng from Gushan Martial Arts School vs Zhou Zhengyao from Mingwei Martial Arts School. Both of them are strong fighters of amateur first pin and are the hope of Shushan's martial arts circle. When he got off the arena, Dai Linfeng and Zhou Zhengyao came to the arena from both sides and stood respectively on the left and right sides of the referee. The former was wearing a blue martial arts suit with white edges and the latter was wearing red with black. He also had a square face with thick eyebrows and big eyes. If he was in a TV series, he would definitely play the role of a decent character. However, there was a strong sense of hostility between his eyebrows. "Cheng, who do you think will win?" Jiang Fei asked with interest. Lu Cheng rolled his eyes at him. "How can I tell when the fight hasn't started? Don't experts have some kind of momentum and temperament?" Jiang Fei asked curiously. Lu Cheng said grumpily, "There are indeed experts, but you can't judge the winner by that. Moreover, they can't be called real experts. They are not even professional level." His voice gradually lowered because he sensed that both sides were looking at him. The relatives and friends of both sides were here. Oh. Jiang Fei understood and focused on the match. After 3 minutes of conversation, the referee announced the start of the match. Both sides were in a mess. The sound of punches and kicks could be heard clearly. It was very lively. "Cheng, I think it's interesting, but I can't see the knack for it. Can you tell me more about it?" Jiang Fei turned his head and said. Cheng Qili, Qiu Hailin, Chao Lele, Du Liu, Xiong Tao, and the others also looked over. Lu Cheng didn't hide anything. He said with a smile, "Mingwei Martial Arts School takes the path of strong and fierce attack. Besides, they are good at using their elbows, knees, shoulders, back, and head. Wasn't the head but just now quite unexpected? Their fighting style is relatively extreme. They rarely parry and attack with attack. Gushan Martial Arts School is close to Xingyi School. Didn't senior brother Dai use the downward chop with tiger hug?" Listening to his clear explanation, Qiu Hailin and the other students around him pricked up their ears. They listened and watched at the same time. Suddenly they understood a lot. They were no longer just watching and cheering. While talking, Lu Cheng frowned. There is something wrong with senior brother Dai from Gushan Martial Arts School. He is so timid, as if he has never fought before. Is this possible? Is it because he is not focused enough and his mind is not on the arena? There are so many people watching. His words weren't loud, but many disciples of Gushan Martial Arts School could be considered to have trained their ears and eyes. They faintly heard him and looked over indignantly. However, schoolmaster Chu Weikai was startled and then frowned. Suddenly, Lu Cheng's mind flashed and remembered the momentum of the professional ninth pin just now. Even though he was a distance away, he felt as if he was facing a vicious wolf in the wilderness. How would senior martial brother Dai, who was charging straight ahead, feel? Could it be that the person who provoked him just now affected his mind and left him with fear, so he couldn't concentrate for a while? Lu Cheng said to himself. To be able to directly exert this kind of influence on the mind, it was no longer the martial arts of the body refining level, but supernatural ability. The provocation just now was to create an opportunity for senior brother Dai to be affected mentally, so that he couldn't use his strength and failed miserably in front of the foundation's chairman. And this method couldn't be found out after the fact, so there was no way to explain it. No wonder the whole thing was so anticlimactic and confusing. Just as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt a few pairs of eyes looking at him. He looked over and saw that Gushan Martial Arts School's Chu Weikai was shocked. He retracted his gaze and grabbed the disciple beside him to ask in a low voice. The other pairs of eyes were from Mingwei Martial Arts School. Schoolmaster Ning Xuanli slowly turned his head and his eyes were half closed again. At this moment, Dai Linfeng's movements were slightly sluggish, and Zhou Zhengyao seized the opportunity to hit him with a whip kick. He lost his center of gravity, broke his stance, and retreated quickly. Then he was attacked and directly fell out of the arena. Zhou Zhengyao wins. The referee announced the result. Qiu Hailin, Chao Lele, and the rest turned their heads and looked at Lu Cheng. They were quite surprised by his prediction just now. "Cheng, You didn't learn anything else after joining the martial arts club, but your judgment and commentary skills have improved a lot. Qiu Hailin joked. Chao Lele also joined in and joked, even if you didn't learn any martial arts, you can still make a living with this. Before Lu Qing could say anything, Jiang Fei beside him said loudly, Qing not only has a good judgment and commentary skills, but his martial arts are also very good. I feel that he is no worse than the one on the arena just now. In a flash, everyone looked over. Some were surprised and some were amused, which made Lu Qing blush slightly. Jiang Fei also lost his momentum and said with a dry laugh, it's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. Seeing Lu Qing looking at him with hidden bitterness, Jiang Fei hurriedly said in a low voice, you didn't say that I can't talk about your martial arts. I know that I can't brag about this kind of thing. It's embarrassing, so I'll leave it to you. You're welcome. He stood up and waved at Lu Qing. I didn't expect there to be a student in our number 1 middle school who is proficient in both the pen and the sword. Lu Qing, come over and have a chat. Lu Qing's comments about the competition were only heard by the nearby students, some disciples of the 2 martial arts schools who had good hearing and sight, and the club masters who had reached professional 9th pin. Due to the noise around, Wei Renjie didn't pay attention. However, Fatty Zhang's raised voice came into his ears and aroused his curiosity. He asked Old Wu about Lu Qing's name, school and other information. As soon as he said that, 200 to 300 pairs of eyes fell on Lu Qing, making him the center of attention in the arena. Qiu Hailin, Chao Lele, Du Liu, and the others had strange expressions on their faces. They were worried that Wei Renjie would take Lu Qing's words seriously and treat him as a master. If he made a fool of himself, he wouldn't be able to clean up the mess. On the other hand, Tao Xiaofei and the disciples of the 2 big martial arts clubs were gloating. Who told you to boast? Yao Kong, a disciple of Mingwei martial arts school who rarely looked away from his phone, also found it funny. He mentioned it to someone on QQ as an interesting thing. Lu Qing deliberately stared at Jiang Fei, then left his seat and walked to the first row. He wasn't afraid of the chairman of the foundation at all. He didn't even respect him. As far as he was concerned, he had yet to enter society. Things like officials and leaders were vague. He was afraid of counselors, lecturers, professors, principals, and masters. It was only natural for him to be in awe of powerful martial artists. As for other things, he didn't expect much from others. A newborn calf wasn't afraid of tigers. Hello, Chairman, he said politely. Wei Renjie pointed at Old Wu and Teacher Xian beside him and said with a smile, just now, the 2 teachers were praising you. They said that you're hardworking and diligent. They said that you've caught up with them and got admitted to Songqing University. Not bad. God helps those who help themselves. When I was admitted to number 1 middle school from a small-town junior high school, my foundation was also very weak. Others took more than 6 years to learn foreign languages, but I only took 3 years. Others have already touched on the content of high school, but I don't know anything about it. But as long as you're willing to work hard and find the right method, you can still do it. Without waiting for Lu Qing to answer, he made an empty seat for him and asked casually, I heard that you joined Songqing University Martial Arts Club. What's your level now? Lu Qing thought for a while and said truthfully, I've only been practicing for a semester. Yes, he had only been practicing for a semester. As for the effect, that was another matter. At this time, the referee announced the start of the second match. Zhou Zhenyao from Mingwei Martial Arts Club, who had just won, continued to fight against another disciple of amateur first pin from Gushan Martial Arts Club, Kong Feiyue. Wei Renjie watched the match and said, How do you feel after a semester of practice? Do you have a lot of actual combat? He knew from Old Wu that Lu Qing didn't have any foundation before, so he didn't think that he could improve by leaps and bounds after a semester of practice. He understood that it was just a group of boys and girls bragging. The reason why he asked Lu Cheng to come here was mainly to ask about something else. Our coach is an expert specially invited by the principal. It is said that he was at the level of physical invulnerability. He taught us very professionally, like still stance. With a few jokes, he let us understand the essence. As for actual combat, I'm sure he didn't have much actual combat experience, Lu Cheng answered frankly. Hearing that the coach of Songqing University Martial Arts Club was a former mighty one of physical invulnerability, Wei Renjie seemed to be more interested. He smiled and said, Lu Cheng, can you tell me in detail about your usual training schedule and actual combat preparation before the university martial arts competition? This is what I'm thinking. After the preliminaries have decided on the leading members and invited the leading members, we'll do intensive training and actual combat practice for the next preliminaries. Therefore, I'd like to ask you about the experience of the Songqing University Martial Arts Club. Let's communicate more. Seeing that his attitude was good, Lu Cheng organized his words and said, we usually have classes, so we can only train from 8 to 12 every day. But according to our coach, this is enough. At most, we can add 2 or 3 more hours. If we get tired of training, it's easy to hurt our body. Every time we train in the order of still stance, moving stance, strength training, footwork practice, fighting practice, and pair practice. As for actual combat, before the district competition of the University Martial Arts Competition, the main force and the substitutes will have actual combat competition under the supervision of the coach. Usually, we'll also be asked to participate in some small challenge tournaments nearby to accumulate experience. Wei Renjie listened attentively and asked his secretary to remember from time to time. In the end, he said, not bad, not bad. The experience of Songqing University Martial Arts Club is worth learning. He then asked some specific questions. Lu Cheng answered truthfully if he knew something, and honestly if he didn't know something, he didn't make it up. When they finished the topic, the competition on the stage was also coming to an end. After a fierce battle, Zhou Zhengyao defeated Kong Feiyue. But he was exhausted after 2 consecutive battles, so he voluntarily left the stage. The third match was between Shen Jinsong of Mingwei Martial Arts School and Qin Rui of Gushan Martial Arts School. The former was of amateur first pin, while the latter was of amateur second pin. Qin Rui, come on! Under the leadership of Chiu Hailin, the students of Class 4 shouted and cheered loudly. Wei Renjie directly remembered this name, which made Qin Rui's body tremble slightly in the arena. He's improved pretty fast. Lu Cheng thoughtfully cheered for his classmates. At the beginning of the second half of the 3rd semester of high school, Qin Rui just passed the ranking event and reached amateur 4th pin. But now, in less than 11 months, he had improved a full 2 pins, which showed that he was indeed talented and hardworking. Looking at his tall and strong figure, he really had an advantage in the amateur level. After a hard battle, Shen Jinsong, who was taller than Qin Rui, barely defeated the 190-meter tall Qin Rui, which made Lu Cheng and the other students disappointed. After all, they were Qin Rui's relatives and friends. After losing all 3 battles, the people of Gushan Martial Arts School looked quite gloomy. Originally, the strength of both sides was about the same. But when the main force, Dai Lin Feng, made a mistake, they naturally lost. But they still had to come to Wei Renjie with the people of Mingwei Martial Arts School and accept his post-match summary. After a long speech, Wei Renjie saw Lu Cheng next to him and suddenly smiled. He pointed to Zhou Zhengyao, the main force of Mingwei Martial Arts School, and said, "Little friend Zhou, you are in the limelight today. Here is a student who is good at both civil and martial arts. He gave me a lot of advice just now. I think he is lacking in actual combat experience. Why don't you give him some pointers while the referee is still here?" He was very satisfied with Lu Cheng's honest answers, so he wanted to help him gain some actual combat experience. Lu Cheng was both amused and annoyed. Am I lacking in combat experience? Behind him, Jiang Fei immediately cheered loudly. He was quite confident in Lu Cheng. After all, Cheng wouldn't lie. If he said he had the strength of amateur first or second pin, then he definitely did. Even if he couldn't beat Zhou Zhengyao, he could let his classmates know the power of Superman Cheng by fighting a fierce battle with him. Tao Xiaofei and the others were waiting for a good show, so they all cheered. Zhou Zhengyao couldn't help but laugh, but he couldn't not give face to Wei Renjie, so he walked up to Lu Cheng, stretched out his hand and said, "Zhou Zhengyao, what's your name?" "Zheng as in the name of righteousness, Yao as in the name of Shunyu." Lu Cheng, Lu as in building, Cheng as in success. At this point, Lu Cheng didn't care anymore. Just fight. Anyway, Wang Su's enemies wouldn't suspect him. After all, they hadn't contacted each other for more than 3 years. Even if they knew he was good at martial arts, they wouldn't connect the two of them. There were too many people more suspicious than him. Shaking hands, Zhou Zhengyao pointed to the ring and said gracefully, "Please." Watching the two of them walking to the ring, Yao Kong, a disciple of Mingwei Martial Arts School, who had been playing with his mobile phone, saw a joking reply from a netizen. "Maybe that guy is really a master." Really a master? Yao Kang's heart skipped a beat. He opened the browser, selected the search page and typed in Lu Cheng's name. After a click, the search result refreshed. He suddenly exclaimed because there was a private forum of Lu Cheng. Could it be him? Yao Kong clicked in and saw the two IDs, Eternal Nightfall, and Brahman, all over the forum. And there was a conspicuous photo in the forum name. It was the guy just now. With a slight change of expression, he found a video forum. He hurriedly entered and chose to watch. Lu Cheng vs Yi Yaoting. While watching, Yao Kang's face was drained of blood. White sweat broke out all over his body in the winter. He blurted out, "Senior brother Zhou, don't fight." The surroundings suddenly quieted down. Many blank and surprised eyes looked at him as if they were looking at a lunatic. Chapter 84. Senior brother Zhou, don't compete. Yao Kang's slightly hoarse shout reverberated in the small martial arts arena, attracting the attention of the crowd. They were all at a loss and were surprised. They didn't understand why this inner disciple of Mingwei Martial Arts School would become so agitated. There was even panic and fear in his voice. They also didn't understand why he wanted to stop a teaching competition that had no conflict of interest. Zhou Zhengyao had been standing on the arena for a long time. He and Lu Cheng stood on the referee's left and right. The conversation was coming to an end, but he did not say anything. He wanted to let the newcomer adjust his state of mind and find the right state of mind. At this moment, he heard the shout and looked towards the seats. He frowned slightly, revealing his confusion and fear. Did something happen? Seeing that the chairman of the foundation, Wei Renjie, had also noticed them, the owner of Mingwei Martial Arts School, Ning Xuanli, suppressed his emotions and asked solemnly, "Yao Kong, why are you shouting? What's the matter?" Can't compete in this competition. That smiling guy opposite me is not a kitten, but a tiger. He is not an inexperienced teenager, but a mighty fighter of professional ninth pin who defeated him with terrifying attacks. This is a trap. A trap for the martial arts school to embarrass senior brother Zhou in front of the chairman. Yao Kang's thoughts flashed. He subconsciously felt that this kind of thing should not be said in public. For example, if the chairman was really interested in Lu Cheng's martial arts level, he would still promote the competition, but the roles of both sides would be reversed. What should I do? What should I do? Under everyone's gaze, he was anxious and irritated. Sweat poured out crazily and drenched his vest. He looked at Lu Cheng as if he was looking at a demon king. He mumbled incoherently and looked like he was about to be scolded. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration and an idea came to him. He said in a frightened tone, "Master, senior brother Zhou, something happened in the martial arts school." I couldn't reach them on their phones, so they sent me a message on QQ. Let's go back quickly and talk while we go. Ning Xuanli, Zhou Zhengyao and the rest gasped. All kinds of guesses came one after another. Yao Kang's expression did not seem to be fake. Chairman, something urgent happened at home. Can we spar with Lu Qing next time? Ning Xuanli dared not delay and did not have time to think about the details, so he looked at Wei Renjie. Wei Renjie frowned slightly and immediately relaxed. He nodded and said, since it's urgent, you should go back quickly. If you need help, just call Huang. Goldie was his secretary. Zhou Zhenyao glanced at Lu Qing helplessly. He had wanted to use this opportunity to please the chairman, but now he could only smile bitterly and say, Lu Qing, let's find another chance in the future. Lu Qing didn't know what had happened, so he politely replied, nothing. The Mingwei Martial Arts School was a time-honored shop for many years. What major changes could there be? In just 1 minute, under the lead of the panicked Yao Kang, a group of people from Mingwei Martial Arts School hurriedly left the Beiyuan Martial Arts Stadium, leaving Lu Qing and the referees standing in the arena in a daze. Seeing his classmates looking back at him, Lu Qing spread out his hands and said with a self-mocking and helpless smile, it's a pity that I won't be able to show everyone my, young hero Lu's, elegance today. Puff! Some of the students who had overheard the previous conversation burst into laughter. Others also felt that Lu Cheng's response was appropriate and humorous. He easily resolved the awkwardness and unconsciously revealed a smile. Cheng, I think you have a talent for crosstalk. Du Liu teased Lu Cheng as he walked off the stage. Yeah, you're so funny, Chao Lele added. Lu Cheng shook his head and said seriously, no, you're wrong. If it's crosstalk, I'm at most a supporting actor. There's someone else who's the funny one. I can't catch up with him. You really think so? Chao Lele and the other students burst into laughter again. The atmosphere became unusually relaxed. Qiu Hailin laughed for a while and pretended to be regretful. It's a pity that we didn't get to see young hero Lu's powerful martial arts today. When will you have time to show us a move or two? If there's a chance, Lu Cheng answered with a smile, unperturbed. Jiang Fei, who was beside him, was really regretful. He whispered, I was waiting to show off for you. What a pity that the Mingwei Martial Arts School had to be in trouble at this time. After such a scene, the students of Class 4 all knew that the scholar, Lu Cheng, who was not very cheerful before, had become humorous and interesting. It seemed that he also knew a little martial arts. After leaving Beiyuan, Wei Renjie returned to the city. The reunion continued. Tao Xiaofei took Old Wu and the others to the chess room. Du Liu, Xiong Tao, and the others played basketball. A group of boys insisted on playing table tennis and badminton with the girls. A few of them walked outside in the cold mountain wind. Lu Cheng, Jiang Fei, and Qing Qili entered the free KTV. Under Lu Cheng's hint, Jiang Fei also persuaded Qiu Hailin and Chao Lele to come over to create an opportunity for Qing Qili, who was privately known as the Prince of Love Songs. Listening to Qing Qili singing the old song, the most beautiful, affectionately, and watching the girls whispering to each other, Lu Qing didn't have the impulse to grab the microphone. Sitting in the corner of the sofa, he took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Yen Zhika with a snickering emoji. I almost got the limelight today. After a while, Yen Zhika sent a blank emoji. Did some hooligans chase after the girls in your class and keep harassing them? Did you teach them a lesson? Or did someone confess to the girl you secretly like and you also stood out on impulse? At the critical moment, you snatched the bride, rushed to express your feelings? What kind of speculation are you making? Lu Qing expressed his feelings with ellipses. Aren't you the girl I secretly like? At this time, the song echoed around them. You are the most beautiful in my heart. Yen Zhika sent a smiling emoji. Isn't this often written in novels? What kind of novel are you reading? Lu Qing sent a dazed emoji. Yenjika sent a proud emoji with shining teeth. Romance novel. Is there a problem? No, there's no problem. I'll beat up whoever says there is a problem. Lu Qing replied flatteringly and changed the topic. Didn't I mention that Xiushan is going to organize a preliminaries team? Yeah, your classmate from Gushan Martial Arts School is going to compete with Mingwei Martial Arts School in the North Garden of the conference villa. They want you to go and cheer for them. Did you challenge both of them? That's not like you. Yenjika pushed up her glasses and said. She knows me well. Lu Qing felt happy in his heart and the smile on his face became bigger. My parents gave birth to me, but Coach Yen knows me well. When we met up with Gushan Martial Arts School on the way to the North Garden, we met a professional 9th pin master. He pretended to have a small conflict and attacked Dai something senior from Gushan Martial Arts School. A professional 9th pin master? Could it be the professional 9th pin master who attacked your childhood friend's gang that night? Otherwise, how could we meet two young professional 9th pin masters in Xiushan? Yenjika sent a contemplative emoji. Lu Qing sent a sniffling emoji. It can't be so coincidental, right? It's almost Chinese New Year. It's normal for those professional 9th pin masters to go home for Chinese New Year. Yenjika sent a, who am I, where am I, what am I doing, emoji and said, but I don't think it's so coincidental. I recall that the next morning after your childhood friend's bar was attacked by a professional 9th pin master, Gushan Martial Arts School received a challenge from Mingwei Martial Arts School, which led to today's competition. On the way, a professional 9th pin master came to pick a fight. Is it a coincidence? Well, now that you mention it, it's possible. Wang Su said that no one was killed that day and the matter was suppressed. That professional 9th pin master really dared to move around. Lu Qing recalled the details and found that Yenjika's words made sense. He praised her from the bottom of his heart. You're really wise, Coach Yen. It seemed that Wang Su's opponent was inextricably linked to Mingwei Martial Arts School. Since the professional 9th pin master's attack didn't succeed, he might as well use it on the preliminaries. Yenjika sent a gleaming white teeth emoji and said, now you understand my reasoning ability. I've read countless detective novels and comics such as Sherlock Holmes, Agatha, Ling Xiao, Kenichi, Detective Conan, and so on. I'm a master who has mastered 1785 secret room killing methods. Are there so many secret room killing methods? Lu Qing asked subconsciously. He used to be addicted to detective novels. Yenjika sent a laughing with arms akimbo emoji and said, don't worry about these details. Please call me Detective Famous. Okay, Miss Detective Yen. Lu Qing said with a prostrating emoji. Miss, I'm not that old yet. It's not serious enough to call me classmate. Yenjika sent a so embarrassed emoji. Lu Qing had an idea and sent a smirk emoji. Then I'll call you Detective Fairy. Pfft. Yenjika seemed to be speechless. Fatty Jiang glanced at Lu Qing, then turned his head to look at Chao Lei and Qiu Hailin who were singing together. He clicked his tongue and said, Qing, your smile is so F***king, how do I put it? Disgusting. If you're so capable, you can also find a girl who is so disgusting. Lu Qing mocked Jiang Fei who had been single for thousands of years. Jiang Fei's expression suddenly became sluggish. He felt the cold wind and was hurt by 10,000 points. Lu Qing didn't care about him. He saw Yenjika finally replied. Okay. Then what? With a big smile on his face, Lu Qing typed quickly, that professional 9th pin fighter didn't directly hurt Senior Dai as I thought he would. Instead, he just bumped into him and left quickly. But when they bumped into each other, I happened to be using the condensation stance and felt like I was in the desolate wilderness facing a wolf. At first, I didn't pay much attention to it. But when Senior Dai started to shrink back and seemed to be unable to concentrate, I started to suspect that the professional ninth pin fighter just now had a supernatural ability to affect my mind without leaving any trace, planting fear and changing the result of the match. It's not necessarily a supernatural ability. Secret Manual of Killing and Dark Infinite Scripture have similar secret methods of spiritual aura, which are quite strange. To put it more accurately, they are the unique skills of the Death Sect and Dark Sect. Yenjika said with an "I'm very serious" emoji. It was the first time Lu Qing heard about this. He was surprised and impressed. "Coach Yen, you know so much." Yenjika said with a snickering emoji, "I used to be in poor health and had no hope in martial arts, so I was quite passive in this aspect. Hobbies are just hobbies. I wouldn't purposely look through Grandpa's bookcase. But now I've thought it through. Even if I can't enter the Dan stage, it's still a wonderful thing to be a professional ninth pin fighter. So I'm very interested in Grandpa's bookcase and look for a few books to read from time to time." On the minibus going down the mountain, Zhou Zhengyao stared at Yao Kong and said in a low voice, "What's going on?" "The martial arts school is fine." He had already called the junior who stayed in the martial arts school. Yao Kong passed the phone to him and said, "Senior Zhou, look at these videos. They are the videos of that student, Lu Cheng's competition." His face was slightly pale with fear, but there was a hint of pride in his expression. He felt that he had stopped a plot against his own martial arts school. Zhou Zhenyao looked at him suspiciously and watched the videos with the other junior brothers. The schoolmaster, Ning Xuanli, sat at the side and waited for the report after seeing that the martial arts school was fine. While watching the videos, Zhou Zhenyao suddenly raised his head and looked at Yao Kong in horror. He blurted out, "Is this really that Lu Cheng?" Not to mention Lu Cheng, even the girl of professional ninth pin who was competing with him was powerful enough to beat the crap out of him. How powerful was Lu Cheng, who defeated his opponent with violent attacks? If they were to have a teaching competition, the result would be unimaginable. Yao Kong recalled what he had seen and still trembled a little. "I've checked the information, it's him, this is a trap for us." Ning Xuanli was getting more and more confused. He said hurriedly, "Give me the phone." "You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.